That gave me goosebumps.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, October 14th, 2021. This is your award-winning Give Nation Media Assassination episode 1390.
This is No Agenda.
Stocked with Zerverdo kits and broadcasting live from the heart of Texas Hill Country, FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all celebrating William Shatner still alive, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Man, that dude is not just still alive. He looks like damn good for 90 years old.
He looks a lot better after he came back.
He really is astoundingly well preserved.
Yes, well.
I mean, didn't you think that was interesting? Just, oh my God, the guy is 90. He's no wrinkles. Just, he's got his fat belly all happy and shit. I love that.
He's got a fat belly.
Yeah, he's really, he looks super, super happy. I dig that.
Well, actually, I covered that on the 3x3 because he showed up.
Oh, well, hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. It's time once again. It's time for 3x3. Experiment at JCB. Comparing stories from ABC, CBS, and NBC. The never-ending 3x3. That's right. Every single Thursday morning, John C. Dvorak checks out the three big networks, gets you the stories, tells you what's happening in the world of network television. What did you learn, John?
What I learned, well, I start with NBC today.
Okay.
And they, of course, had this Pop Start.
Oh, they introduced that last Thursday, did they not?
Well, I think it may have been introduced before that, but this first time I saw it was last Thursday. But I tuned in, and there it is again.
Pop Start.
Oh yeah, Pop Start, and they're going on and on. They got the crew there, and they're going on and on about Adele and her new LP.
How about her new look? How about Adele's new look?
They had her, and they had her on lockdown. They showed her. She doesn't even look like Adele at all.
Someone ate
Some
Adele.
other woman has replaced her.
Yeah.
And she came on.
She looks
got
dynamite.
LP
Actually,
coming out after 6 years.
Hey, do you think? I mean, she looks dynamite, but do you think that maybe that will hurt her career?
People listen to her music. I don't know if they care about so much what she looks like.
People are pretty superficial.
Well, there is that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so she had she called in. They showed her calling in during life in lockdown, lockdown, and she's going on and on about it. And then she says, I've got this new album after 6 years, and quote was, I found the feeling again.
Mm.
And then the commentator, one of the guys there on NBC goes, he says, that gave me goosebumps. And then everybody on the set, the guy goes, I got the goosebumps. Yeah, wow. And they go, wow. Everyone goes across the board. It's like 6 people on the set. Wow. She's got the feeling again.
I lost that feeling a long time ago.
And so then, boom, they cut to Peter Jackson's he's doing the Beatles. He's editing the Beatles' new documentary.
Oh?
Get Back. Yeah, it's going to be all the old outtakes and stuff from a bunch of other clips. He puts it together in this thing called, I think it's going to be called Get Back. It's going to feature Yoko Ono.
Hey, and will it be on?
Wow.
Will it be on Netflix? Will it be streaming somewhere else that these idiots don't own a piece of it?
That's a good. I didn't catch that.
And
then so they say, okay, we're going to be right back, and it's going to be Reba McEntire live in studio.
Wow!
And they go, wow! and so Reba, they cut to Reba. She's got that big smile that she has, and she's got a piece of paper up, and it says written on it with a Sharpie or some pen. It says, I love Adele. And they all go, oh, and then they cut the commercial. Oh, God.
Actually, they were smart. Good old ABC. It was ABC that you're talking about?
That was NBC.
NBC. Wait a minute.
All entertainment.
Wait. NBC had Peter Jackson on about the Beatles Get Back.
No, they talked about it. He wasn't on the show. They were just promoting it, and they showed the trailer.
Oh, well, it will premiere on Disney Plus. These morons. They're promoting the competition.
That is dumb. You're right.
Yeah.
That is NBC.
That's typical. Dumb. If you're going to do it right, people. Or get some properties to promote.
So then we go over to ABC, and they got house ads.
Were they now? Wait, was ABC promoting Get Back, the documentary on Disney Plus?
No, they were. What they promoted was the new movie. Check this one out. See where this one goes to.
Mm-hmm.
They were promoting, and they had the trailer for the movie The Tender Bar with George Clooney. And it's like I don't know if it's about a father and son. Maybe a gay thing. I don't know, but it's a big movie coming out, and they played the trailer for it, and they went on and on about this. But they started off with a bunch of house ads for everything. They don't have any advertisers on ABC, and so they bring. So the whole segment is about an ex-Rockette who has who's falling apart because she has MS, and she's using social media for positivity. And then they're playing all this dramatic music, and they're going on and on about giving hope.
Okay, so
the whole documentary, this poor woman, this poor dancer, is going to be on Robin's Facebook page.
The Tender Bar already premiered at the 2021 London International Film Festival, and it will go into release on December 17th on Amazon. Dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. These guys are
stupid. No,
but the other dumb thing is, why are they showing the full episode? They're giving a big promotion to this poor woman's Giving Hope documentary on Robin's Facebook page.
It's a gimme. It's like they promised her something else and they couldn't deliver, and so that, believe me, this is how that goes.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
I had that myself just 2 days ago, where I got cut. I got bumped.
Where do you get bumped from?
Oh, I got semi-bumped from Megyn Kelly.
No, you were on the show. I heard it.
Yeah, I got semi-bumped, John, but we can talk about it.
Well, hold on a second. I understood there were going to be 3 guests, and they only had 2 guests, and you were one of them.
No, there were supposed to be 2 guests, and it was 1 hour for Sharon Osbourne and 1 hour for me. And
you got cut, is what you mean. You got cut down. You get bumped.
That's what I said, semi-bumped.
Semi-bumped, okay. So we go to CBS.
And did you like it, or do you just want to move on?
I'd rather move on. Did you? So we go back to CBS. We didn't get to them. So they didn't have anything to promote, really. And the guy I think is kind of like, I don't know, not sharp. I finally got his name's Nate, the new black guy. And so they have a segment called In the Middle. And so they bring Nate and, I forgot what's her name. I can't remember the black woman's name. And then the guy, the dorky weather guy or whatever he is. And so they start to talk about stuff, and they go, and here's what CBS does. Talk of the Nation. They go, it's okay, where's the Talk of the Nation? At 3, we're going to start telling their main stories. And so Gail comes up with Team Rock. Jay-Z is now spending money to help people that were. I guess he's the first one who's ever done this, even though I've heard about this for decades. He's going after police departments who are doing a bad job.
Jay-Z's doing
so
that?
The whole Jay-Z with his Team Rock. And Gail says, everyone knows Team Rock. I never heard of them, but okay.
Yeah, Team Rock is very big. They produce the Super Bowl. But what are they doing against the police that are bad?
No, they're taking money. You know what's that justice operation that used to be on Twitter, and they got pretty much kicked off, and they were just filing a lot of lawsuits and filing Freedom of Information Act constantly. And that big muscle-bound guy that used to be on
muscle-bound guy.
The muscle-bound guy, and he was just Team Justice or something. I can't remember the name of this operation, but they were always kind of pro-Trump, and so they got kicked off.
I'm trying to think who you're talking about. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, there's this muscle-bound guy who's the lead guy. People's got to remember what this is anyway. So the Team Rock's doing the same thing.
Oh, Judicial Watch.
Judicial Watch,
Tom.
yes. That's
Tom.
Team Rock's doing the same thing.
Oh, okay.
And so,
all right.
Gail and all the rest of them, and now on CBS is a little different than the wow, wow, wow. They all go, bravo, bravo. And everybody in the stage going, bravo, bravo, Jay-Z, bravo, Jay-Z, bravo. And so then they go to cut to the 81-year-old pharmacist. This is the one Nate takes. He gets this one, some old white woman. And they're all going now, in this case, they go, wow, wow, wow. Mm-hmm. And then they cut to Shatner. Boom! Here comes William Shatner down from the rocket. And
more Amazon promotion.
Gail opens up with "Bravo to you, William Shatner." Exact quote. Okay, bravo. So he goes. So bravo. Shatner says he tries to describe the situation. So he's describing his experience, and he says it's almost inchoate, so generalized. And then they somehow bring it to global warming. I don't know how they did it.
Wait. Did he not promote Star Trek Discovery starting in November?
No. Well, he might have, because I cut it off after 5 minutes of it.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think so. No, they promoted global warming.
Well, and what did he have to say for himself? That he saw it while he was up there? Not only did he see the curvature of the Earth, but he also saw the global warming?
Yes, but here's how he saw it. He says he says you go through the atmosphere, which is only 15 miles thick, and you pop into black, the oneness of the blackness of the infinite death. And he says you look down and you see this little layer of atmosphere, and that's all we've got, and it's being polluted. I'm just telling you what went on.
Yeah, poor Bill. But actually, no, I think he's having the time of his life.
I think what I thought, because in fact, I have a clip. Play this early clip. This is before the flight. You can see the difference between before and after. I look on the clip list. It's Shatner pre-flight comments.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm going to be high as a kite. I'm a rocket man. Burning out his fuse up here.
Yeah.
Alone.
We have an end of show mix, which is better than that, but it's the same idea. A lot of people came up with that.
So, I beat them all to it, didn't I? Now, I think that, because I did hear some of his comments before the flight, and I think this jacked him up. I think he's good he could go to 100 now.
Just looking at him, I don't see why he couldn't. The guy looks phenomenal. It's perfect. Oh, that was
it?
Podcast
hater.
Do you have a clip of him hating on the podcast?
No, but I've been trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah. No, forget about it now. Now it's gone to his head. To
be interviewed. He says, I hate all podcasts. I will never do a podcast. That's what his manager said.
No, you never told me that.
Yeah, I probably didn't, but it's irksome enough that I'm telling you now.
All right. Well, and that was it? That's your 3x3?
It's my 3x3. You got it.
Outstanding report. So my Zerverto kit arrived. A lot of people were really worried about that, about the whole process from ZervertoKits.com.
Yes.
Which was super sketchy.
We need to know.
Which was super sketchy. To review, ZervertoKit.com. You can order them per 2 or 4.
Explain what they are.
Okay. The Zerverto kit is the popularized in India, and probably because it saved people's lives, is a bubble pack.
Millions.
Bubble pack, and it has everything you need the minute you get the coof, and it even has day by day, 14 days. There's 14 days of zinc in there. There's 3 days of ivermectin, and there's, I think, 6 days of doxycycline. This is my stepdaughter got COVID after being vaccinated, sent her the pack.
What?
2 days later, she's up and walking around.
Of course.
Yeah. So we ordered 20. Now, the way it works on this website is really sketchy, which is, of course, because you're sending contraband. So the minute you complete your order, then it says, oh, hold on a second, we'll give you a PayPal to use. And I got one in the mail, and it popped up. And it has instructions, very explicit. Hey, you're asking for shit. I'm paraphrasing. We're going to be sending you stuff that may have some issues if you put medication anywhere in the PayPal note. Just don't do that. Say it's garments. And
there's a million things you could say. Why garments?
They suggested garments, which I think is dumb because there's definitely taxation, import duties on garments. But okay, but I didn't put anything in the message, and it was even crazier. It was at PayPal.nl, which so they're running it through the Netherlands. So I think it was $200 for, or $190 for 20 or whatever it was. It's too expensive, but that's what it is. And I didn't know what would happen. And other people were like, hey, man, this thing's real sketchy. I don't trust it. Of course you don't trust it. But 2 days ago, I had to sign for it from India, which of course means they drop shit directly from there. Came in a nice little cube cardboard box. Completely, I had to get the thermal lance to open it. Completely tied up, like no one would even want to look at it. And it had them in there, so it's perfect. And they look legit. So that worked. And now I'm giving them away to friends wherever we can.
Well, you should give it to friends who need them, just random friends.
No, I don't have that many.
You only have 20 friends?
Less, far less than that. And you're off the list. So, it's hard. It's hard to give them away to friends.
Two.
You already got two. So, I got cut short on Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, I didn't. The way I saw it.
Well, let me tell you how it went, and then we can get to that. So I have to say off the bat, this Megyn Kelly production is just like the Tonight Show. Not that I've ever been on the Tonight Show, but that level of call sheets and producers and questions topics and
missing the point of the whole thing.
Well, it's no longer a podcast. That's why. And an entire setup of how to make your camera look good and have the right lighting, and please dial in at 12:30, which is a half hour before it's supposed to go on.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, typical. Okay, so I'll do it, and I'm in, and 12:30. So Sharon Osbourne's only been talking for an hour, or for half an hour, and the booker. I'm in the breakout lounge. It's very sophisticated. This Zoom stuff. They can put you in the green room and breakout lounge, all kinds of different switching capabilities. And she says, "I'm really sorry." I said, "Really? You're going to bump me for Sharon Osbourne?" She says, "No. But we have to go long." Blah, 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 blah. And I just smiled. I said, "Of course, whatever you want, it's fine." And so it was kind of cool. They just gave me the feed so I could see the feed. Even when she went to commercial breaks, and she only lets, how people are on camera, and then when the camera goes off, their facial expression changes, the muscles relax. Yeah,
it looks like a different person.
Very slight with her, almost nothing. Her on camera and off camera appear to be almost the same.
Megan or
Megan?
Sharon?
Megan. I'm talking about Megan. Yeah, because Megan would do a host read of some Genucell commercial. Which you could just see. She's looking right in the camera like, you hate this, don't you? Oh. And then she's complaining about, okay, Sharon, we'll be right back. We have a hard break. And I know people are saying, why do you have hard breaks? But, it's serious. And
hard break.
Yeah. And that really ruins it. It really ruins the whole flow, the whole vibe. It's just, it's too bad. But I know how it goes. I know exactly how this went. There's a very expensive production. There must be 10 people on it. So, and that's a daily show. It's a lot of work. And I know SiriusXM pays well if they really want something. Because do you remember we had the podcasting radio show on SiriusXM? Did I know you then?
I remember.
It was a little bit before your time, I think. And we had...
Yeah, it was, you guys had bailed from it just about the time I got there.
Right. So P.W. Fenton, there's a name for you. He would put all these different pieces of podcasts together. The guy was working for days and days just to get these things done. And then I'd track them in voiceovers. I think it was a 3-hour show or something. It was way too long. It was bits of podcasts with me doing wraparounds. But at the time, now I didn't take money personally because it went into the company, but I think it was $350,000 for a year. And that's just me playing some damn snippets of podcasts.
That's reasonable.
So, if they want Megyn Kelly, you got to think they're in six figures.
You'd hope.
Yeah, otherwise you can't pull it off. So I understand. But so I decided, right, they had topics like that they sent me. We'll talk about MTV, your life and your career. What do you think of Matthew McConaughey? What do you think of Bitcoin? All these different things I put in there. Because I think the executive producer listens to the show, I have a feeling. Steve Krakauer, whatever his name is. I think Steve Krakauer. He has his own podcast. And so I figured, there's no way because they said, well, you got 20, 25 minutes, which is kind of true what I had, true amount. And so I'm not going to go, 25 minutes. We can do no agenda value for value. I could talk twice as long for that. So I decided just to right away make the bridge to Sharon Osbourne, see if I could grab a little bit of control, and have a nice flow. And then I got to say that, I was in Moscow with Sharon, and I was not planning on telling my Ozzy story, but it would have been a good one. You remember the Ozzy story in Moscow?
No, actually, I don't remember it, but if you remind me, I probably will.
Well, that's where we're flying from Newark to Moscow, actually via Germany to pick up Scorpions. It's Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne with most of Black Sabbath. It's just, the whole thing is full of bands and me and a two-man crew. And Sharon's there. Sharon looks way different. It's before the tummy tuck and all that. And Ozzy is hammered, and he's standing in the aisle, waiting for the lavatory. Someone's in there, and all of a sudden you just hear the Sharon, and he's pissed his pants. It's like light gray pants. It's just this big spot,
God.
like a 6-year-old.
I think I would remember that story. I don't think I remember you.
Really? Oh well, that's my Ozzy story.
Yeah, it'd been a good one. You should have used it.
No, I'm not going to do that. Of course not.
Roast her out.
But then I got to give my little zinger in there saying, I don't know. I mean, wow, look at how good Sharon looks. Is that Genucell you're giving to her? So I thought I'd tie in her hated commercial read, her host read. People always love that. Leo used to love that. And then we just chatted. So you heard it. I didn't have a lot of chance to plug stuff.
Well, you plugged Mo Facts and you plugged your podcast about Bitcoin.
No, I don't have a podcast about Bitcoin, and
the way you sound, it sounded as though you have, because you wanted her to get on board with it, some Bitcoin thing.
No, and she said no agenda right at the top. That was in her intro.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Okay.
I heard her intro, but I didn't hear that.
Well, let's move on then, since you clearly don't give a shit since I didn't say no agenda or something. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, you didn't. You plugged Mo Facts.
I didn't
plug some podcast about the Bitcoining podcast.
It's called Podcasting 2.0. There's no fucking Bitcoin word in it. Did you really listen?
You mentioned Bitcoin.
Did you really listen? She mentioned Bitcoin. Did you really? I said I want to get you on Podcasting 2.0. I never said any Bitcoin to her. There
was a Bitcoin angle to that. I can get the clip.
I don't care.
But it's beside the point.
Yes,
you never once mentioned no agenda during the whole time. Tell me that's not true.
It's absolutely true. There was no opportunity. There was no opportunity for it. There was no opportunity.
I could count at least 2 or 3 opportunities. I can name one.
Well, then why don't you go do Megyn Kelly, and why don't you take care of that?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying if you're going to do it, you should at least plug the show.
She plugged it at the intro, and I had no other opportunity, except, of course, you would have done so much better.
Oh, well, you can condemn me for your not performing.
I performed outstanding. I had a great performance. And we will see Megyn Kelly donations on this show, and you will eat those words, me not performing.
If you get a Megyn Kelly donation, I will eat my words.
And that's a Megyn Kelly donation like a Joe Rogan donation, yeah? Not Megyn Kelly herself donating because I know your tricks.
No, and I don't. Wait a minute. It's already unfair because you're going to have some Dvorak haters in the audience right now saying, I'm going to do that.
Well, that's not hard to do. There's a lot of them. But that's not the point. I saw this as an audition for a full 2-hour show, which they promised me before I went on. They said, I know you're getting cut. We're going to have you on for the full 2 hours, which they call an hour and 45 minutes, but full 2 hours. And so I figured I'd just go and do whatever I could and follow along with her.
Well, okay. Well, then when you get back on, I'll be more interested.
You are no longer allowed to listen.
I think that's going to be very difficult for you to accomplish.
I forbid you from listening. So this morning, what dropped was something you may be interested in, was Joe Rogan with Sanjay Gupta, who showed up on his show. And I'm surprised how CNN would let him do this. And
I am too.
He wrote a whole story on CNN about his 3-hour interview, and I just want to read a line or two from this. Many friends cautioned me against accepting Joe's invitation. There's little room for reasonable conversations anymore, one person told me. He's a brawler and doesn't play fair, another warned, in fact. When I told Joe...
What?
He's a brawler and doesn't play fair, another warned.
Have you ever seen any evidence of this?
No. Of course not. That's why I'm reading it to you. In fact, when I told Joe early in the podcast that I didn't agree with his apparent views on vaccines against COVID, ivermectin, and many things in between, part of me thought the MMA former Taekwondo champion might hurdle himself across the table and throttle my neck. This is the kind of shit he was writing.
That's terrible.
And so at one point there was, I guess, well, anyway, so it was, I have not seen the whole 3 hours, but I think it's fantastic that this happened. And if anything, for this clip about the ivermectin, because you recall, CNN was saying Joe Rogan took horse dewormer and didn't say, he was prescribed that or anything, and pretty much called him an anti-vaxxer. So this was what Joe brought up, and he would not let Sanjay Gupta deflect, although he tried many, many times.
Horse dewormer's not a flattering thing. I get that.
It's a lie. It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Well, the FDA put this thing out. You saw that. Did you see that thing that the FDA put out?
What did the FDA put out?
It was a tweet, and it was snarky. I admit it. They said, "You are not a horse, you are not a cow, stop taking this stuff," or something like that.
Why would you say that when you're talking about a drug that's been given out to billions and billions of people, a drug that was responsible for one of the inventors of it making the
Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Prize in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah, a drug that has been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. You know that, right? Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer? I can afford people medicine, motherfucker. This is ridiculous. It's just a lie.
I don't think anyone is
But don't you think that a lie like that is dangerous on a news network when you know that they know they're lying? You know that they know that I took medicine. Like, here it is. This is ivermectin.
You got
this
it
is
with
right
you.
here. Somebody gave it to me.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem?
Slow
that
down.
Your news network
was not-
lies.
Well, I don't.
Dude.
What did they say?
They lied
What did
and
they
said
say?
I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
They
with
shouldn't have said
a
it was
bunch
horse.
of other
it was-
medications.
if you got a human pill, because there were people that were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously. You got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication for parasitic disease. And as you say, it's probably, I think, 250 million people have taken it around the world?
More,
I get that.
Way more.
So,
way more. Billions of people have taken it.
Can I just come back to the one I want to talk about?
3.5.
Two things on the ledger.
You have before.
I'm sorry? 3.5 what?
Billion.
Oh, yeah.
Say it's probably, I think 250 million people have taken it around the world.
More,
I get that.
Way more.
So
way more. Billions of people have taken it.
Can I just come back to the one I want to talk about? Two things
No.
on the ledger.
You have before we get to that. Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out
love this.
lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You didn't ask? You didn't think that was you're the medical guy over there.
I didn't ask. I should have asked before
But they
coming
did
on
it
your
with
podcast.
such glee.
No.
Yes, they did. I watched.
I should have asked before I did the podcast. I wasn't prepared right. From his article, it was like Joe and I were now in the octagon, circling one another. He stared at me intently now.
Well, I like the fact that Rogan was not letting up on this. He was pissed off.
Rightly so. He stared.
Gupta had no answer. That was good.
He ended his article because, of course, he had to write something about it. And he will be seen as a hero for doing this because at the very end, it's quite a long thing. I guess a small part of me thought I might change Joe Rogan's mind about vaccines. After this last exchange, I realized it was probably futile. His mind was made up, and there would always be plenty of misinformation out there, neatly packaged to support his convictions. Truth is, though, I'm still glad I did it. My 3-hour-long conversation wasn't just with Rogan. If just a few of his listeners were convinced, it will have been well worth it. Oh.
What a pompous ass. That's the most patronizing thing you can do.
Yeah, gotta love it. And now we have the big aspirin scandal. Since aspirin might actually do something for COVID.
Yeah, that's been studied. Yeah, that actually has been they've run through that. Every time I've seen those studies, I go, well, okay, well, maybe.
What it's a? I mean, but then
no, it's been studied, and it does something. It's
right.
Zinc is
right.
in the same league as zinc.
But these stories came out. My point is, these stories about aspirin came out about a week and a half ago, and what happens right after that? Oh, just a reminder: taking aspirin can kill you.
That's a good. Yes, in fact, I may even have I don't know if I had a clip of that, but yes, that came out this bull crap.
So a week and a half ago, because I saw it, we didn't even report on it. I was like, okay, maybe aspirin will help.
Here it is. I got the clip. Aspirin risk.
So this is from now, and this is a week and a half, 2 weeks after they said it might help you with COVID.
It might help. Okay, and this is from yesterday, NPR.
Okay.
You might have heard that regularly taking a low dose of aspirin can lower your chance of a heart attack or a stroke. But new recommendations from a top U.S. medical panel say that for some people, starting daily aspirin could do more harm than good. NPR's Will Stone reports.
People 60 years and older should not start taking aspirin to prevent that first heart attack or stroke. That's one of the big takeaways from the updated recommendations put out by the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. Dr. John Wong is a member of the task force, which sifted through the most recent studies and weighed out the benefits.
What we found is that compared to older studies, aspirin appears to have less benefit from cardiovascular disease.
And then they looked at the harms.
And there's an increasing recognition among healthy individuals of various ages that aspirin carries an increasing risk of bleeding as people age.
Wong emphasizes that many people take aspirin safely, but that bleeding can happen in the stomach, intestines, and brain, and it can be life-threatening. There are some important nuances with these guidelines. They do not apply to people who've already had a heart attack or stroke, or to people who are already taking daily aspirin. And Wong says the guidance changes as you move into the age groups below 60.
Aspirin may have a small amount of benefit for people in their 40s or people in their 50s.
Whether you choose to take it, he says, depends on your cardiovascular risk and should be decided with your doctor.
This is
offbeat. I never thought about making the connection you made, and I have to say that's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But let's get a little more sinister. Is it possible that aspirin does have enough of an effect on COVID-19?
It might actually work. Yeah. What?
No, I'm just saying I'm taking a little more sinister.
Okay.
They don't want you to take it because they want you to get COVID-19.
Well,
they want the public more susceptible to the disease.
Well, yeah,
there's no coincidence.
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. They don't want you to take it.
No, they don't want you to take it, but they want you not because it prevents it, but because the possibility exists.
Because they actually want you to get it, is what you're saying.
They want you to. And
that's been from day one. That's nothing new.
The stat or the statistics would be we have the most deaths in the world with over 700,000. We don't do any treatment whatsoever. We're trying to kill our population off or knock it back. And so they don't want anything in play that would slow that down.
I can only agree with that because when I've been doing this in my head a lot, following everything back, that's going on, just the wokeness in general, but the complete control of the healthcare system. Our whole healthcare system is under control of banks primarily, with insurance companies. And then the universities who get endowments from the big guys, Ford, Rockefeller. It's easy to blame those people, but they're the ones that give the endowments and say, "Oh yeah, but only if it's this, only if it's for medicine, not for any voodoo witch doctor stuff, nothing natural." So they determine the course of how things go. And why do they do that? Well, as you and I know, like if people catch on, there's too many of them, they'll eat them for lunch. So they figure we can't do a world war anymore. That's messy. We tried a little bit, but let's kill them this way. Less people, better for us. I think that's absolutely true. Isn't that what
they're doing a good job?
Well, these are the population bomb people. It's always about that. It's always about too many people. Bill Gates, we got too many people. Everyone's too many people.
Yeah. The population bomb people, which goes back to the 70s, are in play. They've never left the scene, and they're sick.
In fact, Fauci did his they do the I think daily update. It's pretty much only on C-SPAN now. Listen to the very end what Fauci's saying, and he even says, this is what we have on every last slide. This is scripted. This is what we really mean.
A 10 to 11 to 12 times less likelihood of being hospitalized and a more than 10 times less likelihood of dying. And the final message of all of us is always the same on the last slide. Protect yourself and those around you. Vaccination is the answer to getting us to control.
What does that mean? Am I interpreting this the wrong way? I mean, if he had said to getting us to control the virus, but he just control. And that was it.
He doesn't.
That was the end.
He's not specific about what control.
Well, it seems pretty obvious to me. Control of everybody. Wow, man, we're a long way from not thinking these passports would ever be a thing. I'm looking at all over the world. It's getting pretty crazy. I talked to Christina. She says, Dad, it's unbelievable. Everyone's standing in line for hours sometimes to get tested so that they can have a QR code to flash to go to a restaurant, which to me means a lot of people didn't get vaccinated. And I think those numbers are completely overblown. And you don't get large numbers of pilots and air crew, etc., on some kind of unspecified sick out wildcat type strike with less than 20% unvaccinated. It's got to be a much bigger number, don't you think? Logically,
yeah, I do think, and a lot of people, of course, 100 million, it's estimated, in the United States alone, have had COVID and don't need a shot.
Well, but that's continuously up for play. We know that. The science we've checked says that, but they just said, no. You need super immunity. You need both. Both is the best you can get. Get that.
So before I play some of these, you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before I play some of these COVID clips, I have quite a few.
I know. Can I ask you a question? In 14 years, you've never sent this many clips. What happened? It's double your normal amount of clips. Seriously.
I started early.
And I'm like, oh, wow, look at this.
Let me tell you my clip thing. And by the way, the most clips I can send is 33.
Yeah, okay.
Coincidentally.
But this is 39.
No, that's because you had a third batch. That third batch is not in the original batch. That was actually, those are Shatner clips for end of show possibilities.
Ah, gotcha.
That's all end of show.
Oh, okay.
Now, my mechanism for doing clips is I clip, and then I get to a point where I got the page full, and I just stop because I know I can't get all these clips in the show anyway, and so 33 is the max. There's 33 clips plus 6 bonus clips, which is way over the top. But before we do this, what do you know, because you looked into it, I'm sure. What do you know about this bull crap that's going on at Southwest?
Well, I have 2 clips, and then we could talk about it. These are relatively short clips from CBS.
Southwest blamed air traffic control and weather-related challenges for more than 1,800 cancellations. But the FAA said its staffing shortages ended Friday. Sources tell CBS News a Southwest staffing shortfall this weekend was a factor in why so many of the company's flights were grounded. Other airlines didn't face widespread cancellations.
I was told there may be a crew issue, basically.
The union representing Southwest pilots denied speculation it had ordered a sick-out in response to a COVID vaccine mandate. That same union asked a court Friday to block that requirement. Southwest apologized for the massive travel disruption, saying it was trying to get people home quickly and safely.
It's not been fun. It's not a good way to end our honeymoon.
Whether or not the cancellations had anything to do with the pilot protest, the potential pilot protest, this this could end up being an issue that may come up with other carriers soon. And that's because the federal vaccine mandate starts on December 8th. Airlines that don't comply with that mandate potentially lose government contracts.
So what was really fun about this with Southwest Airlines being headquartered in Texas is that the governor of Texas came out the next day and said, here's an executive order, no mandates in Texas. You're not allowed to do that. So this, of course, sparked off an incredible, federal Trump state. So they had lots to talk about. In the background, the reason why no one is really talking, although now I have received some messages, luckily, is because of it's the railroad law. Is that what it's called? It's like because you're basically a part of the government, so you can't just go on strike, and that goes the same for ATC, and they're not even allowed to talk about it legally, or there could be all kinds of issues. But this is 100% exactly what happened. And what's interesting to me, again, is the numbers. I don't believe the numbers that we're hearing from the Biden administration. It's got to be a lot more who are not vaccinated. And for sure, many pilots are, now they're talking everywhere on the forums about how they really don't want it. But and most of them are saying, I should choose another career anyway because I make crap money. Most of the airlines in the U.S. are really serviced by regional companies who fly under the same banner. It's really become much bigger than we realized. I looked into it yesterday, like, holy crap. It's like 60% of the flights internally are from regional airlines. And and so they're really afraid because, they're subcontracting through one of the big ones. And if they lose that, then it's completely gone. So the pilots, and certainly Southwest Airlines, which was traditionally known as Herb's cattle car, there's a lot of love for the company. And I think now the CEO has even said, well, we've got to look at this because it's presenting a problem. So then with the lawsuit that the Pilots Association filed, now we're getting down to some American stuff. Let's take this to court, everybody.
Quick question about this mandate. We had reported, last week that President Biden announced it, but he never actually sort of filed it. He never went through the paperwork. So can you tell us a little bit more about this vaccine mandate, if you will?
So what we know is the Biden administration last month said that staff of all federal contractors must be vaccinated by that date, by December 8th, unless they're granted a religious or a medical exemption. So Southwest and other airlines are part of this rule. They fall under it because they fly government employees, they fly government cargo, and they provide other service. To clarify, though, this federal guideline for government contractors is stricter than Biden's other initiative, which requires companies with 100 employees or more to get those employees vaccinated. And it's stricter because in that other mandate, those employees, if they don't want to get the shot, they could be tested regularly for COVID instead.
So that was a little off topic. I'm sorry. There's going to be a citizens protest for Southwest Airlines against the mandate on October 18th. And American Airlines is also headquartered in Texas. They're in Dallas. So they're now trying to evaluate what they're going to do. But I already got word that November 24th is when American Airlines sick out. And that's a day before Thanksgiving. So that will get people's attention.
Yes, it will.
And again, for me, it comes back to and Boeing. We're going to see about 50% walk off. This is really, really big. And this, if anything, this is maybe the trigger for some kind of great reset because man, it's going to mess stuff up. And from everything I see, Biden administration wants it to happen. What did that crazy man say? I wish I had the clip. He said, 600 people have been fired for not taking the shot. But look at the bright side. Companies all over are mandating it. That's the way our president talks now.
Well, let's listen to a couple of clips from Psaki.
Yeah. She's been messing up big time.
Well, one of them, she goes on about... But before we play the big clip, which is the Psaki on vaccine mandates, where she calls out both DeSantis and your buddy there, your governor.
I know my governor, but he's not my buddy. Abbott. If you would listen to Megyn Kelly, you know that I said he's not my buddy.
No, you never said that. You said nothing, but you like Abbott.
You should listen again. I
will. I'm going to listen again because I want to hear the no agenda thing that she said. This is the one this is from July. I don't know. Did we miss this clip? I have no idea. This is Pasakian vaccines killing you.
Yeah. You mean the gaffe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we played that.
We'll play it.
This is a 2-minute and 31 clip.
No. This is the short one. This is the short gaffe. 10 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we have this one.
About why it's important to get vaccinated, why these vaccines are safe, why they can still kill you even if you are under the age of 27. We need to be clear and direct about our messaging.
We had the clip.
Okay, all right.
Well, now I got to tell you, it was episode 1364, so it was a while ago.
So here we go with I have a short memory. So here we go with her going on and on and on about vaccine mandates. And if you listen to it carefully, she is literally saying that an executive order is the law of the land.
Yeah. Yes, this is a very good clip. I have it as well, but you probably got the longer version. And by the way,
and an executive order is not the law of the land. And if it was, why do we even have a legislature? And if it was, why doesn't Biden just pass that $3.5 trillion bill by executive order? I'm asking.
Oh, well, first of all, there is no executive order. They announced an executive order.
Yes, I agree. I know somebody should have called her out on that.
Well, she does it in the clip. She says it in the clip herself that they don't have anything.
But let's just say there was. Let's just say there was. Does it become federal law? And if it does, do we need a legislative branch of the government? And if we don't need that, why doesn't he just pass the $3.5 trillion Reconciliation Act by executive order? Why doesn't he do that?
Okay, because everyone, even the idiots, agree that Congress has the purse, not the president. So he can't spend, but he can do other things. So yeah, he cannot spend. He cannot pass that bill by executive order because that is exclusively for Congress.
But he can do mandates by executive order, and that becomes federal law. So it's a felony if you don't get the vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then in 2024 or whatever, someone else will come in, can undo it all. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I think it falls within his jurisdiction for government. He can do that for government workers, and that's all that he's done. But by extension, it's the government contractors, and that's a big group.
It's everybody.
Pretty much.
Except us.
Well, so far so good. All right, Psaki.
Is the administration going to sue Texas over the opposing the order for the vaccine mandates? And is there a risk that the OSHA efforts essentially get tied up in litigation rather than having the immediate effect?
Well, Josh, these requirements are promulgated by federal law. So when the president announced his vaccine mandates for businesses, that, of course, we're waiting on OSHA regulations for as a next step, that was pursuant to federal law and the implementation of federal law because it's an executive order. So our intention is to implement and continue to work to implement these requirements across the country, including in the states where there are attempts to oppose them. I will say, since you gave me the opportunity, Governor Abbott's executive order banning mandates, and I would also note announcement by Governor DeSantis this morning essentially banning the implementation of mandates, fit a familiar pattern that we've seen of putting politics ahead of public health. Over 700,000 American lives have been lost due to COVID-19, including more than 56,000 in Florida and over 68,000 in Texas.
Remember, I just love how they just take that 700,000 number, man. They just throw it out. They died of COVID.
And every leader should be focused on supporting efforts to save lives and end the pandemic. Why would you be taking steps that prevent the saving of lives, that make it more difficult to save lives across the country or in any state? And I would also note that vaccine requirements have been standard in both the Lone Star State, Texas, in case you're not familiar, and the Sunshine State, Florida, in schools for decades, whether polio, measles, mumps, rubella, the chickenpox. There are vaccine requirements that have been implemented for decades in these states. So these decisions
for kids in school,
these two leaders out of step with both long-time requirements, a history of vaccine mandates, but also many business leaders in their states and many businesses that are based in their states, including Disney and American Airlines. These leaders are taking steps to help boost vaccination rates, reduce deaths, reduce hospitalizations, and expand the country's labor pool. So bottom line is we're going to continue to implement the law, which the President of the United States has the ability, the authority, the legal authority to do. And we are going to continue to work to get more people vaccinated to get out of this pandemic. The President will use every lever at his disposal to do that.
I think you're right, and I'm certainly not the right person to ask, but it's probably not an executive order. I don't think equals federal law somehow. No,
I don't think so.
But
if they think it does and everybody else thinks it does, then it doesn't. Kind of does.
Well, it's clearly since didn't she say in that clip like, well, OSHA's coming, OSHA, don't worry about it, OSHA's working on it, we'll get that, which is the part for commercial companies not affiliated with government contracts, and their mandate for more than 100 people, you has to have a vaccine mandate in the organization. That one they haven't done yet. They just haven't published it.
Her slipping into vaccine mandates for chicken pox, rubella, and all the rest, that's for kids in school. Mm-hmm. It's not for people that work at the dry cleaners.
It's also been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, but it's not for the public.
Right.
It's not for pilots.
No. I not that I know of. Now,
and so just as a contrast, though, I have this other clip.
Well, I have a clip from Australia that I'd like to use as contrast.
Okay.
This is Michael Gunner. He is the chief minister, whatever that means, of the Northern Territory in Australia. He's just going to explain it very clearly. See, the Australians, they're already there. We have not caught up yet. They're 6 months ahead. When this happens, when Psaki starts talking like this, or any of the Congress critters, that's when you know the commies have won. Listen to this.
Ask yourself these three questions. In my work, do I come into contact with vulnerable people? Is my workplace at a higher risk of infection? Do I work on infrastructure or logistics that are critical to the territory? If your answer is maybe, or I don't know, you need to get the jab. Critically, the direction also applies to industries who directly face customers in circumstances where the worker may not know the vulnerability of the person they are interacting with. So it is simple. If your job includes interacting with members of the public, then you need to get the jab. If you work in hospitality, you need to get the jab. If you work in retail or in a supermarket, you need to get the jab. If you are behind the counter at the bank, if you're a receptionist or positions like that, you need to get the jab. If you are a barber, a hairdresser, a beauty therapist, you need to get the jab. All these workers, and many, many more, directly interact with members of the public. That means you are frontline workers in our economy. That means you must be vaccinated. Of course, there can be exemptions, but these are extremely narrow and must be backed up with medical evidence. Simply not wanting the vaccine is not a reason.
Done.
Today, we are also announcing the date from which this mandate comes into effect. From Saturday, the 13th of November, if you have not received at least your first dose of a vaccine, you will not be permitted to attend your workplace in that role, and a failure to comply with the direction is a $5,000 fine.
Woohoo!
That means that workers must have received at least their first dose by Friday, the 12th of November, at the latest.
How about that?
A bunch of pricks down there, those guys.
Yeah, I got Australians saying, it's kind of weird, but we're all thinking about moving to Texas.
Yes. Move to Texas, everybody.
Yeah. I hear Austin's great these days.
I've heard it. Okay, here's the contrasting clip. I want people to pay close attention to this one. I guarantee this would not be I couldn't even put this clip on Twitter and get away with it. This is a clip from this clip comes from Taiwan. And here's the report on COVID deaths from the shot.
Okay, hold on a second. You got a lot here. Got it.
In Taiwan, the number of people dying after their COVID vaccination is exceeding the number of deaths from the virus itself. Taiwan's health authorities say that as of Monday, deaths after vaccination reached 865, while deaths from the virus are at 845. Vaccines currently offered in Taiwan include AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer-BioNTech, and Taiwan's own vaccine, Medigen. Out of the 865 deaths after vaccination, over 600 were from AstraZeneca and nearly 200 deaths after Moderna shot.
Yeah, I love this. I think a producer sent this to us both. I'm not sure. But
I actually got it off the...
Oh, you did? Oh, weird, because I got the same one. Doesn't matter.
It's possible.
What I love about it is Pfizer gets off scot-free. There's no mention of anyone dying from Pfizer. No, it was AstraZeneca, BioNTech, and that was the end of the report.
Yeah, but the numbers didn't completely add up.
No, but that felt kind of fishy that she didn't at least say Pfizer.
Well,
now a similar clip. Member of Parliament Christopher Chope in the UK. Here's what he said in Parliament. By the way, he should stay away from hot tubs and general aviation for a while.
The government may have not been too keen to promote that information, but I think in failing to do that, it is actually counterproductive. I think most important of all, to give some assurance to those people who are already suffering. And our hospitals have got a large number of inpatients who are only there because those patients took the vaccine, and it's causing a lot of angst for consultants across the country. We know that there is causation between vaccinations and damage caused by those vaccines, yet the government, in a lot of its literature, seems to be denying that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably not be able to put that on Twitter either. That would probably not work.
I wouldn't think so.
In the show notes, I have a letter from Dr. Patricia Lee. She's a ICU nurse. She's not a nurse. She's doctor, ICU doctor, emergency doctor as well. And she wrote this to her board, wrote a really long letter with all these examples of all these things that had happened. She says, I can't continue in good conscience. You guys are lying. And this particular letter, which I encourage everyone to read, is going viral in the medical community. So maybe someone will figure it out. Like, hey, maybe we should stop killing people.
2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Well, instead of all that, we get a totally different kind of message in the U.S. No. We're not going to discuss if people are dying or not. You're not going to see that on television. Certainly not from our quote-unquote leaders. No. We get people like Joy Reid.
Celebrities have the power to sway millions of people, which is why it's so alarming when particularly the ones with huge platforms publicly spread vaccine disinformation.
Now, this story, I'll say up front, is about Eric Clapton. And what do you think she's going to say about Eric Clapton?
He's an anti-vaxxer spreading misinformation.
Oh, that's just the beginning. No. We can look, what do you want to tie it to? Climate change or something else? We need to tie Clapton to more than just the mandate.
Rock and roll icon Eric Clapton is the latest example, making news today for donating a van and £1,000 to British anti-vax group Jam for Freedom.
Oh!
As Rolling Stone reported today, that's just the tip of the iceberg for Clapton. He participated in one of singer Van Morrison's 4 anti-lockdown songs last year.
4!
And he's spoken out against the vaccine.
John, not 3, not 2, 4.
Singer Van Morrison.
Before you play that clip, I'm just making a couple of guesses about what's going to be in it.
Okay.
I want to make one.
All right.
She very carefully describes that he did get vaccinated. He's never been an anti-vaxxer, but he did get vaccinated and he got injured. She talks about that, I'm sure, in this report.
She does actually, yes.
Okay, good.
But that's not it. Yeah, that's not it, though.
4 anti-lockdown songs last year. And he's spoken out against the vaccine ever since he claimed he had adverse effects from it, blaming pro-vaccine propaganda. Clapton then released an anti-vax song called This Has Gotta Stop and went on a tour of Red America, where he took a picture with bounty hunter Texas Governor Greg Abbott, because of course he did.
Yeah, so the Red America, that was in Austin, Texas, you nut. The most bluest part of America these days. So that's where he was with Red America. But okay.
Now, what really stands out about white anti-vaxxers in particular is that they act...
Please pay attention. Okay. White. Anti-vax... No, he's white. He's white.
What really stands out about white anti-vaxxers in particular is that they act like their freedom has been taken taken from them. And they have this weird habit of trying to do that by co-opting the history of actually oppressed people.
Here it comes.
Clapton is no different. He claimed that vaccine mandates are discrimination. The lyrics of his song with Van Morrison include, "Do you want to be a free man or do you want to be a slave?" And as Rolling Stone points out, this isn't Clapton's first nasty brush with matters of race.
There we
He
go.
used a derogatory term to describe his friend Jimi Hendrix in 1968, though the magazine points out it was, quote, hipster slang at the time.
By the way, if I could point out to you, Joy, both Jimmy and Eric are Brits. They're racist. Come on. This is not a surprise, but don't lay it on slavery from America.
And at a concert in 1976, he went on a racist rant that included him saying, "Stop Britain from becoming a black colony. Keep Britain white." It was particularly shocking at the time because Clapton's music was heavily influenced, one might say appropriated, from black musicians. One of his biggest hits was a cover of Bob Marley's "I Shot the Sheriff." Clapton has apologized for his racist past, blaming it on his addictions to alcohol and drugs. But his behavior over the past year is also questionable, and as Rolling Stone put it, Clapton went from setting the standard for rock guitar to making full-tilt racist rants and becoming an outspoken vaccine skeptic.
Wow.
Did he change, or was he always like this? I mean, maybe he's just a jerk.
Oh, that was really dynamite. I have to applaud her for taking it to Eric Clapton being a full-on evil racist. That's just beautiful.
Because he didn't like...
By the way, coming from a Caribbean woman.
I'll give you the clip of the day for that.
Thank you. Well, that is appreciated.
Clip of the day.
Coming from a woman from the Caribbean. Jerk. She's not an African American. Yeah. But entertaining.
Well, they pay her top dollar.
Can you believe it? What else you got? I have plenty of stuff. I don't know what's in your clips, so let's see what
let's go. I have a variety of clips, most of them all, let's do the one since we were just kind of on the topic since you mentioned Pfizer a minute ago, somehow getting out of that NTD report as a killer.
Yeah.
So they have they're really promoting on NPR, and I have two versions of the same story. I have an alt version and the original of the news that you should use the Johnson & Johnson's no good.
We know that.
And so you got to give them a Pfizer shot as a booster. And so they're promoting this story. Now, let's play the alt version of this first. This is a COVID booster news alt NPR.
Since public health experts first started talking about COVID-19 vaccine boosters, people have wondered, is it best for vaccinated folks to get the same vaccine for their booster as they did for their initial shots? Or would it be better to mix things up and get a different vaccine as a booster?
Mix and match.
A highly anticipated study has produced some provocative answers, and joining us now with all the details is NPR health correspondent Rob Stein. Hi, Rob.
Hey there, Sarah.
Okay, so you've got me wondering, what did they find?
The bottom line is if you got either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, it looks like a Pfizer or a Moderna shot would work well as your booster. Moderna seems to work the best, but not all that much better than Pfizer. So if Pfizer or Moderna was your first vaccine, it doesn't look like it matters very much as long as their booster is another one of these so-called mRNA vaccines. But if you got the J&J vaccine, it really looks like you'd get the best response if you don't get another J&J. The best is either getting Moderna or Pfizer next.
Or staying away.
The levels of so-called neutralizing antibodies in people who got one of those shot up 10 to 20 times higher than if they just got another J&J shot.
Man, okay, here's what's missing from these reports. Throughout the entire rollout of vaccines, we've heard exact numbers. Okay, they changed a lot. We heard numbers of efficacy. We heard numbers of protection. And this is just seems to be pretty good. That's better. But what's really fantastic is this. Come on. This is just off the cuff, I think.
Also,
they're not reporting numbers.
If we go back to February, March, April of 2020, there was just edicts about don't mix these up.
Yeah, the World Health Organization said it. Don't
mix these up. They didn't even want you mixing Johnson & Johnson with Moderna.
No.
They're different formulations. They don't necessarily, who knows what happens when you mix them up. But now they're telling you to
mix them up. Now it's the best way to go.
Now here's the other version of that same story, but it's slightly different if I'm not mistaken. And if it's too much the same, you can kill it.
Health officials say the best choice for a booster for people who receive the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine appears to be either the Moderna or Pfizer shot. NPR's Rob Stein reports on the findings of a highly anticipated study from the National Institutes of Health.
Researchers studied 458 people who originally got the Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and then got either the...
What's that?
This is a number, 458. That's a drop in the bucket.
Same vaccine or one of the others as a booster 4 to 6 months later. The researchers found that it didn't make much difference whether those who originally got the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines got the same shot as their booster or the other so-called mRNA vaccine. But people who got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine appeared to have a much stronger response if they got either a Moderna or a Pfizer shot next instead of another J&J shot. Food and Drug Administration advisors are meeting this week to consider Moderna and Johnson & Johnson's request to authorize their vaccines as boosters for their shots. Rob Stein, NPR News.
Oh, my God. Is he calling in from the car?
I don't know. But the point is that it's a small study, and and they still haven't got approval for any of this, and they're pre-promoting it.
Yeah, and Gottlieb was on CBS again, and they have a new tactic. Why don't we just survey the parents? That'll make it seem a lot better.
According to the poll that we started our program with today, more than a third of parents say they will vaccinate their 5 to 11-year-olds right away. A quarter of them will wait and see. I'm wondering what that says to you and what you would be looking for in the language from the CDC when they explain this to the public.
Yeah, look, I was actually encouraged by the results of that survey. There's a lot of parents like me that as soon as a vaccine's available for their children are going to go out and get their kids vaccinated that see the benefits of vaccination. There's a lot of parents that still have a lot of questions around vaccination. I think for them, they should have a conversation with their pediatrician to try to get comfortable with the idea of vaccinating kids. We now have the opportunity by the availability of this vaccine to more fully vanquish this virus and protect a broader swath of the population. In terms of what CDC is likely to do, I think the question is whether or not they're going to say that this vaccine should be used in kids ages 5 to 11 or may be used in kids ages 5 to 11 and then perhaps enumerate kids who are at higher risk for whom a strong consideration should be made about deploying the vaccine. I think CDC is likely to take a very cautious approach in children ages 5 to 11, in part because they're at less risk from COVID, in part because this is a new vaccine. We're still collecting data about it, and it's a novel virus. So there's still some things we don't know.
Refreshingly honest, Scott Gottlieb, Pfizer board member. So
that was a mistake.
Oh, yeah. And one of the big problems with the mandates, or something that's looming is happening now, is doctors, hospitals, etc., refusing to help patients, refusing to do procedures if you're not vaccinated. And there's lots of heart-wrenching stories that you can get anywhere if you want some outrage.
We started watching this when it started with people who couldn't get transplants. They got kicked off the list.
That's ratcheting up now. It's ratcheting up.
It's worse than ever. I have a question. Why does this one guy, the medical reporter for NPR, keep saying so-called mRNA vaccines?
I don't know. I heard it too.
Because
I don't know why.
You use that term so-called when it's a misnomer.
Yeah, it's usually snarky.
Yeah, so-called tall guy. So-called,
so-called podfather.
Yeah, there you go. That would be one of them.
If you put it in quotes, podfather.
So-called podfather.
Uh-huh.
But it's so-called this so-called. So what does he mean when he says so-called mRNA vaccines?
I don't know.
But are they not? I mean, are we been misled? Because I was convinced it was an mRNA vaccine all along.
I don't know.
Well, it needs looking into.
Back to my premise, this is happening, that people can't get, and again, it's ratcheting up. You can see it. Also, staffing is going away, so let's blame it on that too. Let's blame a whole bunch of things. There's hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers per state. Like in New York, it's going to be 100,000 who are just stopping, leaving. It's not going to be good.
Here's shortages.
So on this whole concept of refusing to help patients because they have not been vaccinated, this is the Medical Ethics Art Kaplan of the Medical Ethics Department at New York University. And he addresses this question. Is it okay to basically kick your patient out of your practice or whatever if they haven't been vaccinated? Is it ethically okay? And under what circumstances?
Hi, I'm Art Kaplan. I'm at the Division of Medical Ethics at the NYU Grossman School of Medicine in New York City. A couple of weeks ago, a physician in Alabama said he'd had enough. He would not be seeing any more unvaccinated patients in his practice. A lot of other doctors are starting to think about following in his footsteps. Is it ethical to say, I'm not going to treat you if you're not vaccinated? Well, it's a sticky issue and a complicated issue. Let me try and work through a little bit of the thinking. The Alabama doctor said it was too hard on him. He suffered too much worrying about what was going to happen to his unvaccinated patients. I don't think that's a good reason. I do think a better reason might be I have to protect my staff from unvaccinated people. I want to keep people safe in my waiting room, and I don't want to be exposed to people with COVID for fear of a breakthrough infection. It also may make some sense to say, if you won't follow my medical advice and do what I tell you to do, there's no point in me taking you on as a patient. So under those terms, I think primary care people, family doctors, nurses who do primary care could say, I'm not taking on any patients who won't vaccinate.
Man, I mean, he's making it okay. The ethics guy.
That's an unbelievable clip.
It's mind-boggling.
I mean, everyone has to stop in their tracks when you hear that.
Yeah. Because what's next?
This entire medical system is out of control.
If you're not taking PrEP, then you might have AIDS. So I don't want you in my office. I mean, that's the same thing, in essence.
It's the same thing as whether you won't take a TB patient.
Do people not take TB patients?
Well, I mean, yeah, they do, but
maybe not anymore.
In fact, I'm not going to take anybody into my office.
That's sick. I don't want any sick people in my doctor's office.
I don't want any sick people coming into the office and exposing other people to the sickness.
No, just sick in general. Whatever sick you have.
Yeah, whatever it is. You got a cold, get out.
What do you think I am, a doctor? I'm a scientist, damn it, Jim. Well,
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
This guy is clearly under the spell of the mass formation. And I can't, it's so hard to blame everybody. I really want to humanize. And I got another professor, two-parter to this. She is this is Gigi Foster. She's a professor at the University of New South Wales. So she's in the middle of Australian lockdowns, etc. And she has an opinion, except she doesn't call it mass formation. She calls it crowds. Let's listen to her set us up for this.
And the kinds of actions that a crowd will take are these wild sacrificial actions, again, in service to this, perceived threat or whatever the narrative is. So in the case of the Nazis, it was, well, we just have to kill them all. Yeah. Let's kill them all, right? Massive, massive human sacrifice on the basis of this one obsession. With COVID, I mean, I won't say it was literally people being shot or gassed, but it was definitely people being deprived of basic human freedoms, being deprived of happiness, and it was being done by crowds that were populated particularly by fanatical people who themselves suffered from having some kind of repression. So I noticed in this period that some of the most radical, fanatical Jane types who were belonging to this, pro-lockdown crowd were actually quite lonely people. Yeah. They were people who, seemed a bit dysfunctional psychologically. They weren't really happy. They hadn't really settled or found a place.
What she's talking about, obviously, is everybody on Twitter.
For themselves. They didn't have a good sense of
Facebook.
Their own self-control, perhaps. But they had to kind of stifle all this stuff in their normal lives. But in a crowd, they could sort of let it all out and visit all of this nastiness that was almost in line with what they themselves had oppressed or suppressed in previous times onto others. So it was a vehicle for mass bullying and mass deprivation of basic rights and freedoms that the Janes felt in some sense was, again, a worthy sacrifice, maybe because they themselves had to, suppress kind of these problems that they had. It all worked together to create an extended period of massive welfare destruction.
So I think what is interesting, she's basically saying the same thing as Professor de Smet was telling us, only in different terms. And this is not just Democrats, by the way. It's not just people in blue states. People who are all into, well, I wouldn't even say QAnon, but just people who are into other forms of pretty nutty stuff, thousands of sealed indictments kind of stuff, which I enjoy. I listen to all of it to make sure I'm not missing on anything that might be coming by. I think they're also in a state of hypnosis. And for them, it's like, this is the answer. This dream, he's coming back, or Trump is going to appear from the mist. And they are totally in the same state. I don't think they were, and maybe they were just as unhappy before it all happened. I mean, this is very evil stuff. And so here she is with the second part describing the mass hysteria.
A crowd is something that most of your viewers won't be familiar with, except in relation to the COVID period, but was quite evident in previous generations. One of the types of crowds that you may be familiar with, probably most familiar with, is the Nazi Germany crowds. So when Hitler had those rallies, right? So a crowd is distinguished by its focus on one particular thing, right? An obsession about one particular thing. And everybody's obsessed about that thing all at once together. And there's a sense of community about it, right? We are linked in with each other. We are close to each other. We are secure. We are not lonely because we all adhere to this one obsession. We think this is the most important thing, right? And that creates a sort of glue that is extremely difficult to dislodge, to dissolve, right? Very difficult. And in the crowd, the people who belong, who have this shared obsession, kind of have a sort of fluid morality and a fluid sense of what really is true. And that's what you saw in these Hitler rallies, for example, right? So, by
the way, that's exactly Trump rallies. I think the people who show up at Trump rallies, we know that a lot of those people were severely depressed before things happened. They had a shit time in flyover states. And they're also grabbing onto one thing. This is what's happening.
I should mention that the last Trump rally, which is I had that one clip of, they were discussing it, and that company that does these broadcasts on YouTube, RBTV, whatever it's called. They mentioned that about 90% of the people at the Trump rally was at the previous Trump rally. Yeah. In other words, the Iowa rally was the same people. And so it's becoming like a Grateful Dead group.
In a way. Yeah. Well, it's also, he pretty much does all of his performances at WWE event places. So it's wherever the wrestling crowd is, that's where he always tries to get a venue. I think we've tracked that. I think it's a very good idea. It's an outstanding idea. A little bit, just 30 more seconds of her. So the fluid morality, I think that occurs. It's like, oh, well, it's okay to do this, and then it's not okay, and people are all over the map, and then it's okay if he does it, but not okay if they do it. This is that fluid morality. It's what I guess people would call whataboutism in that case.
And that's what you saw in these Hitler rallies, for example, right? So people would simply immediately agree to pronouncements that they would normally, if they weren't in the crowd, take decades to weigh up. Is it really true that, my Jewish neighbor is out to get me somehow, even though, his father and my father fought together in the First World War or something like that, right? But this notion that, oh, yes, they're all evil. Yep. And people just bought into that in a crowd. That shows you how much the sense of morality and the seeking of truth becomes outsourced by the crowd member to the crowd leader.
I think that's it. So we got Fauci as one of those outsources. Don Lemon wishes he was one of those, but he's not. We're still in the middle of a mass hypnosis event.
Yeah, well, we're stuck with it too.
No, not if everyone keeps speaking their truth, which is hard. That's the real battle.
So I have two more series of clips from NPR because things are starting to break in certain areas.
Okay.
COVID.
Okay.
COVID origins. This is starting to break. Of course, I don't want to say that we nailed this like within a week of the COVID outbreak, because we did. But the mainstream has got to find a way to back into the reality, because they have to. All this is happening over the last year, 2 years, is going to have to be explained eventually. And so they try to get back to reality. Let's go COVID origins, part one.
It's the big question of this pandemic. Where did this virus come from? Did it spill over from bats? Did it make the jump to humans at an exotic meat market? Was it the result of a laboratory incident? Nearly 2 years after the first COVID case was identified, the origin of the virus remains a controversial and unanswered question. NPR's Jason Beaubien reports the World Health Organization is assembling a new team to try to answer just that.
The WHO has named 26 scientists from around the world to sit on what it's calling the Scientific Advisory Group for the Origins of Novel Pathogens, or SAGO for short. The panel is being given a broad mandate to investigate any and all future outbreaks of unknown origin, but it is also charged specifically with looking at the roots of SARS-CoV-2. China has been desperate to deflect criticism that it was slow to identify the new coronavirus. An earlier WHO team was stonewalled by Chinese officials and in the end failed to provide a definitive answer for where SARS-CoV-2 came from. The WHO's head of emergencies, Mike Ryan, says this new advisory group will likely face some of the same geopolitical challenges that have stymied other investigations.
This has never been an easy process in many countries. We've had difficulties in the past in a number of countries because there are real issues, there are sensitivities, there are economic issues, there are national pride issues, there are sovereignty issues, and you can't ignore that they exist.
The structure of this panel, which nominally looks at all new pathogens and not just COVID, appears to be an attempt to diffuse some of those concerns and sensitivities of China. COVID has now killed nearly 5 million people worldwide. It's crippled the global economy. And Ryan says in order to prevent future pandemics, we need to understand the origins of this one.
Right now, this is our best chance. And it may be our last chance to understand the origins of this virus in a collegiate, collective, and mutually responsible way. And I can't overstate that. This is an opportunity, but it is also a challenge.
First of all,
yeah,
when the WHO first did this, they already went into China and looked around, and they came out with a definitive answer. No, it didn't come from China. Or am I wrong? Or am I misunderstanding what happened the first time around that the WHO decided to go figure out what happened?
Not only that, but if you said such things, then you were deemed a racist.
Yeah, well, there's that too. So now all of a sudden the WHO is reconvening a new panel? Did they admit that the first panel was no good?
I haven't not seen such communication.
So anyways, I find this to be very annoying the way they're doing this, but let's play part two.
The WHO's Maria Van Kerkhove says the world has no time to waste in examining what happened in 2019 in the very early days of the pandemic. She expects some of that work will involve trips to China.
I anticipate that the SAGO in its discussions about the urgent next steps for understanding, the origins of the current pandemic will recommend further studies in China and potentially elsewhere.
China can veto any visit from researchers sent by SAGO, but Van Kerkhove says she's optimistic that China will cooperate with the group. Of the 26 scientists on the new advisory panel, each member is from a different country, and one is a deputy director at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing.
So wait a minute, I'm trying to understand. So the World Health Organization, Kerkhove, that's the Dutch lady, or born Dutch, I think. So they are putting together yet another panel to go investigate this, but they probably can't get in anyway. I mean, this is weird.
Yeah, it sounds like
this whole report is weird. What are they trying to do?
They're trying to tell the truth, and they're playing games.
But what you're telling me? The World Health Organization is trying to tell the truth?
I think so. Unless, okay, well, you're going to take the other side of this, which what you would say would be, no, this is just another scam.
Well, it's either just another distraction.
Better done.
A distraction. because this is not what people are worried about right now. That is not the number one question about the pandemic. The number one question now is, will it kill me, and can I get around without it? That's the question. It may be a setup to blame something else, though. That's what I'm kind of hoping we'll see.
A
third option. A third option.
That one I didn't even consider.
Yeah, third option might be the way to go.
Now, my last series, which is the COVID, this is the dumbest. They're mostly short, but this is probably the stupidest NPR breakdown of anything they've ever done.
Really? That's hard to top. They have done a lot of dumb stuff.
Well, okay, you've got me on that, but this is pretty bad. This is an entire, I only have parts of it, and kind of an expose on hugging and how can we hug and we're hugging during the pandemic, and they make a whole story out of this.
Well, weren't there stories at the very beginning about hugging?
Oh, yeah, I can't hug.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear, these are 5-parter, some of the stupidest NPR stuff you've ever heard in your life. And some of it's interesting, but most of it's pretty dumb. Let's go with clip 1.
If you're not a hugger, the pandemic has been the perfect excuse to never hug again. But for those of us who like to hug, the pandemic has felt cold, isolating. Even now, with so many vaccinated, the Delta variant can cause breakthrough infections. So we wanted to know, is it okay to hug? What about handshakes and kisses? We turn now to NPR health editor Mark Silver to answer those questions. Hello.
Hello, Lulu.
Hello.
So is it risky when both people are vaccinated?
Well, first you have to remember how you catch COVID. If someone is infected, they'll breathe out respiratory and aerosol droplets that can transmit the virus. So close contact, like a hug, can be risky. But vaccination brings that risk way down. So even if you're in contact with someone who's vaccinated and has been infected without knowing it, that person breathes out far fewer infected particles than someone who's not vaccinated.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
Right off the bat.
No. That's not what we've heard.
No, that's not what we've been told, just the opposite. That the person that has been vaccinated and is carrying the COVID around, they got tons of it in their nose mostly.
Yeah, much more.
Yeah. So we got a little mixed message.
That's misinformation, man.
Fact check false.
That's disinformation. It's not okay. We should report them.
Okay. Onward, part 2.
Wait a second. It sounds to me like you're saying for vaccinated people, hugging isn't very risky.
Well, it comes down to a phrase we're hearing a lot during the pandemic, level of risk. What level of risk are you okay with? For example, is the person you're hugging someone who works in healthcare or a school where they're exposed to lots of other people? In that case, you might decide to pass because their risk of exposure to coronavirus is higher. The risk is also greater for people who are immunocompromised. And it's worth thinking about where you'll be hugging, indoors or outdoors. Indoor hugs are riskier because outdoors, the moving air helps disperse infected particles.
You know, this crisis, this pandemic, has been a boondoggle for losers everywhere with a piece of paper that gets them on NPR. And NPR and all these outlets are so starved for a new voice, they'll put anybody on with anything. And
I think this guy's an internal. He works there.
There you go. Why they hired him? Even worse, he's not even a stringer. Bring this guy in. He's great. Oh, we did a whole series on hugging. It was fab. It was such a great it was a human interest piece. That's what this is. This is a human interest piece of COVID.
I guess it is. Technically. Here we go with hugging 3.
Right. We've all had this weird, awkward moment, though, right? When we see someone we haven't seen for a long time.
No.
And we're not sure how they feel about hugging.
No.
I do this weird, awkward dance where I kind of put my hands up in the air and kind of like shimmy to see if they want to hug or not. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the etiquette these days?
I'm not sure I'm going to try a shimmy, but the new etiquette is state your preferences. Don't just go in for a spontaneous hug. You could say, hey, I'm vaccinated. I'd love to give you a hug. Are you vaccinated too? And on the other hand, if you know that person just got off a 6-hour flight or went to an indoor concert, it's fine to say, let's just mask up first.
I think this is where I can use the word exasperating. I think, am I using it correctly now?
I don't know.
Because
Maybe.
that's how I feel.
Well, it gets worse. The worst is yet to come. So let's go with COVID hugging 4.
All right.
This is so important.
All right. Excuse me. I have to say something to the passengers.
In case you feel any motion sickness and you feel like you want to vomit, there are little bags in the seat pocket in front of you.
What about the kids who are too young for a vaccine? You know, they're huggers. They need hugs.
If kids are involved, check with the parents. Is it okay if I hug your kid? Or if you're the parent, ask, is it okay if my kid hugs you?
So we heard a lot about the death of the handshake at the start of the pandemic. You know, everyone was doing those elbow bumps, kind of like a chicken dance. Are they still risky?
Let's say I have a breakthrough infection and I don't know it. And maybe I sneezed or coughed in my hand. So you reach out your hand, I reach out my hand and touch you.
Stop! Violation! You sneezed wrong! You're supposed to sneeze into your elbow. So if you sneeze into your hand, you're a bad person.
And maybe I sneezed or coughed in my hand. So you reach out your hand, I reach out my hand and touch you. And then you're going to take your hand to your face inevitably because we touch our faces many, many, many times a day without even knowing it. So there is an element of risk. If you do handshake, you might want to hand sanitize right after. Although one professor I interviewed told me she feels safer with the elbow bump because you'd have to be a pretty talented contortionist to bring your elbow to your eyes, nose, or mouth.
I come from a culture where you actually kiss people on the cheek to say hello. It is very common among Latinos to just say hello and go mwah on the cheek. I'm assuming that is probably not going to be okay.
Well, when COVID was peaking in France, and you know the French are big, big cheek kissers, the president urged people to give up cheek kissing. But now he's rescinded that. I believe he's cheek kissed in public. A cheek kiss is pretty quick. You'd have to actually wipe where someone kissed you on the cheek. You'd have to take your hand, wipe that spot with your hand, and bring your hand to your mouth or nose. So not high risk.
Oh, parents, don't let your children listen to NPR. They might turn out like this guy. This is very, very, very sad what he's doing here.
Now, a couple of things that the last clip.
What value is this to their NPR listeners?
Because this is a major concern to them. Are you nuts?
But
these are NPR listeners. They want to be hugging at the grocery store, at the vegetable store,
with their burlap bag. Yes.
They got their bag. They got their dirty old bag that's so grimy that they put the food in the bag and they don't use the plastic bags and they load up in this beat up old bag that's the tomatoes have been squished in.
Made in China.
It's probably got rotten mold in it.
Made in China.
There's chemicals. And they're stuffing all their food in there and they're showing that they're virtue signaling by not using any plastic at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going into their little purse and they're picking out a penny so they can pay right to the nickel. But now they're using the card. They put it in at the last minute. By the way, people out there, you can put the credit card in early at most checkouts. You can put it in after the first thing is run up, put your card in, take care of all the punching in the codes and whatever.
Hey, you're irked by this because you've said this before. Do you mention this to people in line? Do you say, hey, lady, yeah, you, old bag, you can put the card in now? Do you?
I am a quarter inch oftentimes from doing exactly what you just described.
You should just use cash, man. So that you can hold up everybody behind you. Look at that old fuck with his cash. You'd be painting out the pennies one by one. I don't think every single supermarket has that, by the way.
Okay, so let's go to the last clip, and now it just goes into the absurd, and so let's listen to this.
But then there's the air kiss. In an air kiss, you're blowing air in someone's face. Don't do it unless you're blowing the kiss from across, a football field.
Oh, wow. I'm sure this guy knows that ass kissing at NPR will get you everywhere, including on this show.
The question that comes to mind through this whole report and blowing across a football field, because heaven forbid you. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know anyone who's ever given me an air kiss 2 feet from me. It was blowing in my face. What is this thing about? Okay, you shook somebody's hand and then you touched your face, and you're doomed.
Yeah.
Now, why are you doomed if you touched I can see if you rubbed your eye or licked your fingers, or there's a lot of different things I can see where you can introduce the virus. But So I shake a hand and I scratch myself. They rub my face just very slightly over by the jawline. Is it imagined that these little viruses are they have legs and they walk their way up to the mucous membrane? What's the deal?
Well, you're forgetting something. This is a binary issue. Shaking someone's hand, touching your face is probably not that harmful unless you're also an NPR listener. Then I'm afraid you're going to die.
Well, I hope so.
And you know what? I think stories like this, that puts people on edge. I think it gives people psychosis. There was even there was a CDC alert. I want to say this was, it was after 9/11 for sure. I don't know how many years. I came across it the other day. And it said, people who in America, in the United States, but anywhere, but it was CDC specific, who are worried about terrorism could easily develop psychosomatic symptoms of stuff. So, how much of these stories make people nuts and they think that they got cooties on their face and freaking out? Or is this just fluff at this point?
No, I think you're wrong. I think that people are freaking out. They get very serious when they give these reports. It's not as though they're a couple of jokers just trying to frighten the public. They're frightened themselves. She's sincere asking these questions.
No, that's true. You got a point there.
Well, I was distressed by all this stuff, but the NPR is just horrible.
There's a lawsuit. This will be the final thing I've got. There's a lawsuit from a number of scientists who are calling the FDA to account. The law states, not an executive order, but the law states that after a vaccination has been approved, in this case, the marketing license, whatever that approval was, immediately all documentation how the FDA came to that decision has to be published for review by the public. And they have to date not done that. And that's why scientists are now suing. And they're saying,
really?
Yeah, they're saying, wait a minute, we don't know where it came from. You're not allowed to ask anything about it. The vaccine's approved, but you're not allowed to know how they achieved that decision, how they got to that decision.
Well, this seems obvious that what the document would show. It would sound like this if you had a recording of it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you. It's 500, 500. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, another 1,000. 1, 2, 3. You get 5. Okay, you get $5,000, and 1, 2, 3. You get 10. 1, 2, 3. And that would be the way they came to the conclusion. Yeah. And then the Pfizer guy would leave.
Well, that's clearly, when you're talking about the health of millions of people, that's not really a cool way to do it. So the scientists are suing. And again, back in the good old American spirit, let's sue them. That's what we're good at. That's really what we're good at.
So I have my last clip, and this is a clip from that doctor. This guy's not going to be on YouTube much longer. This funny guy named Dr. Campbell, I think's his name. Same name as the guy who invented ivermectin. And he does a little bit on the ivermectin, a Japanese university inviting Merck to study ivermectin as a COVID thing. Mm-hmm. And so this ivermectin invites.
And who is this doctor?
This guy Campbell. You've actually had a clip from him before. He's the one who discussed how to give the shot properly.
The British guy.
Yeah, he's kind of, I guess.
Whatever he is. Yeah, he's like semi-bald, and he seems
bald, funny,
seems smart.
Guy.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Here we go.
Kitasho University said this. This is a direct quote from their article. Based on the judgment that it is necessary to examine the clinical effect of ivermectin to prevent the spread of uncertain COVID-19, this university, Kishato University, asked Merck & Co. To conduct clinical trials of ivermectin for COVID-19 in Japan. Now, we should understand that the university, Kishato University, was going to give them their facilities and infrastructure, and we understand that they're linked with a lot of national bodies in Japan, so they could have facilitated a clinical trial there, which makes perfect sense. Why did they go to Merck about this? Well, this company has priority to submit an application for an expansion of ivermectin's indication since the original approval approval for the manufacture and sale of ivermectin was conferred to it. And we know that Merck very generously indeed has given millions and millions of doses to help eradicate scourges of parasitic disease in the developing world. So full marks to Merck for its track record on ivermectin in terms of facilitating its availability as an anti-parasitic medication. So you would imagine that Merck would jump at this chance, wouldn't you? You would have thought. Anyway, they said, however, the company said it had no intention of conducting clinical trials. Now, a cynic might say that's because ivermectin is out of patent and you can't sell it and make a profit for it because any generic manufacturer can make it. But what do I know? I don't know. So that's the paper from the American Journal of Therapeutics, and these are the authors. Now, it looks like this is the lead author here. Looks like that's the second author. That's the third author. It looks like this is the third author. The third author is a Dr. Satoshi Omura. And Satoshi Omura works at Kishato University, or is associated with it, it says there. In fact, he works at the Amuro Satoshi Institute, Memorial Institute, because this is the man who won the Nobel Prize with Dr. Campbell in 2015 for his discovery of ivermectin.
Now, what he doesn't mention in this whole thing is that Omuro's, whatever his last name is, the Japanese researcher, his partner is like he said, is this Campbell guy, the Campbell guy who I talked to.
Oh, right. Yeah, you emailed him, didn't you?
No, I called him.
Oh.
And who refuses to discuss ivermectin at all because he still works for Merck.
Yeah. He not only does he work for Merck, he knows he can't do it because he will die.
Well, he's already 95, so I think he's,
Well, then what's his? He's 95.
Yeah, I know. He's in his 90s.
Well, this guy's an asshole. He needs to come out and immediately state what he knows. He's got a couple years left, and he's keeping that because he works at Merck.
Well, he's got a big pension, or his family. I don't know.
Well, that guy's he's a Nazi.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to call him that, but I will say this is that this little idea of letting Merck do a test when they were given the facilities of a major university and free reign, they just won't do it. Why? Why won't they do it? It's pretty obvious that there's something to this.
Yeah. They want us dead. There's no other answer. There's no other answer. But with that, I will thank you for your courage for facing the danger head on and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C's in Clapton's coof, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, stops in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
Yes, and a big in the morning to the trolls in the troll room. Let's have a little count. Hands up there, trolls. What do we got going on here? Low. 1921, low. What's going on? It's your fault. I knew it. It's low.
I'm guessing as last show we had, I don't think we even had a COVID segment.
So you're saying it's because we didn't have a COVID segment last show?
I'm guessing that people only tune in to us nowadays just for COVID.
No, I think the opposite is true. The opposite.
Well, we should.
And we had COVID.
Today.
We had COVID on the last show. Absolutely. What are you talking about?
I don't remember anything.
Because you didn't do it. I did.
COVID clips.
Yeah, you had zero. I had COVID clips.
Yeah, they weren't a lot.
Okay.
Whatever the case is, people keep telling us not to talk about COVID.
You love doing this, so I'm going to do it to you. Now, let me go check. I'm going to go look at it because, it's all about truth today. So let's see. I had COVID down under. We had ivermectin. We had Pfizer. So we had 6 clips. We had Matt Taibbi. That's not really, but it was more joking. Yeah, so there were clips. The Pfizer whistleblower. We had clips from that. Convinced?
I'm totally convinced.
So trolls.
You sold me.
So the trolls. It would be nice if you guys could up it a little bit. It would be good to see you there. But maybe they're slipping away.
Maybe there's something wrong with the troll room.
There's a lot wrong with the troll room. I got a letter
from some guy saying, "Hey, I can't get a name and I can't get into the troll room."
You should block that guy. Just block him. People who ask those questions, block them.
I don't block for that reason.
That is trollroom.io. If you want to find out what all the hoopla is about, then go there, trollroom.io. You'll notice there's also a player where you can listen to the No Agenda stream. It's, what do we call that thing? I forgot.
Player.
NoAgendaStream.com. That's what it is. NoAgendaStream.com, which is always the live shows, and there's many of them throughout the week. And, of course, podcasts from all around Gitmo Nation. It's all talk. It's no agenda for sure, and zero commercials. You love it. Check it out. You can also follow us at NoAgendaSocial.com. Adam at NoAgendaSocial.com. That's part of the Fediverse, part of the Mastodon network of servers. It's decentralized. We love it that way. We'd love it if you create another No Agenda Mastodon instance and then hook it up to ours, and we can have everything flowing back and forth. You can also follow John at John C. Dvorak at NoAgendaSocial.com. It is truly an algo-free way to communicate, and a lot of the trolls are there, but just a lot of the producers in general. And it's, I get more from that than from Twitter, and a lot less nuttiness, to be sure. Now let's take a look at the artwork. We need to congratulate Corrector Record, who brought us a piece of fabulous art for episode 1389. We titled it Wigglesworth. We had trouble with the title, quite honestly. You didn't want to do Let's Go Brandon. I didn't have my notes anymore.
No, I didn't.
We had trouble just coming up with a title. And art, I can't remember how did we do on the art, because I think there were a number of things. This was the Green Army.
We had it. We as usual. We both said, "Oh, we got to talk about this. Oh, we got to talk about that. Oh, we got to this," and then we don't talk about any of it because we can't seem to remember that long. And this is a very long time between Sunday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what art that. There was the one art, the art with your head attached to some skinny guy.
Oh no, attached to your body. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a skinny guy. It was clearly your out of shape chest there. Yeah, no, that was a non-starter. So. That was a non-starter for us.
But that's because it had an image. We don't use images of either one of us because it was done for years on end.
Yeah.
And so we banned them. But the picture of you with the $10 smooches by Nice Fox, I thought was funny.
No, I didn't think the gag was funny. I didn't think the art was funny. The Taiwan soldiers from Corrector Record, I thought was phenomenal, which is the one that we ultimately chose. And a lot of people like that. It triggered a lot of memories of people stepping on little green army men. Before Lego, we had green army men for your parents to step on too.
There wasn't anything else that I'm looking at now that really stood out. I do like the Harvest by Sean Regaldo, which is the pumpkin patch. And I was going to use it for the newsletter, but then I said, I'm going to use Pop Start instead. Curiously, I had a Pop Start item in the morning. But I want to keep this thing in abeyance because it might be good for a Halloween. It was the Halloween show.
It was a nice piece, but it just seemed a little out of...
It was out of
the timeline.
Context.
Out of the timeline for us.
Yeah.
What else was there?
And
I think that's.
I thought the CCP thing was kind of cute, but it wasn't going to be used. The foamer. Then some guy just sent a big yellow block in. I don't know what that was.
Seen it.
No, there was no doubt that the Army guys were going to win that one.
It was also just a really well put together piece. Wouldn't you say? Just from an art perspective.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I liked it. It was good. It was a good piece.
All right, let's thank some of our producers, executive producers, and associate executive producers for episode 1390. We're on our way to 1400. October 26th, we will be celebrating our 14th anniversary. We'll be doing that with
the anniversary show will be on October 24th.
Okay, and that will be celebrating with all of the producers from around Gitmo Nation. Is that Sunday the 24th or Thursday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Okay, all right.
It'll be a whole week of celebrations.
It's going to be nonstop. There's going to be.
I
mean, it's just the festivities will be off the hook. I think we're bringing Bevo. Bevo's coming. He's the Longhorns mascot. We're going to have him at the celebration, so you can take a picture with Bevo.
And that buffalo.
We don't have a buffalo.
We get the buffalo from Colorado, University of Colorado.
Oh, there you go.
Inga Carlson in Monroe, Washington starts us off at $666.67. And she says she wants to give a shout out to Mark Harrington, my husband's father, who passed from CID October 17th, 2017. Only after he passed did I learn that he was a Democrat, or even that would bother me. But I had many conversations with him that shrunk my amygdala.
Okay.
Proving that we should judge others by the content of their character, not by the bubbles on their ballot.
Hear, hear.
He raised my husband, who introduced me to Billy Bones, and they both hit me in the mouth. Thank you for all your courage. I am a wiser, calmer person because of it. This donation puts me into damehood. Please dame me as Dame Lady Get Over It.
Wow. We can actually say that to a woman. Hey, lady, get over it. Hey, lady, get over it.
Get over it.
Dame.
Counting below, at the round table, I'd like some lefse and raspberry jam.
Yeah. I ordered it. I have never seen lefse.
What's lefse?
I don't know. I thought you would
Jingles, know. Obama, You Might Die, and R2D2 Karma, Love is Lit.
Yeah, okay. Let's see.
You might die.
You've got karma.
It is a Norwegian, kind of like a flatbread. Can also be used a bit like a crepe. And it's made of potato.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Alexander Harrington from Monroe, Washington. 2 in a row from... Wait a minute. Do you think they know each other, these two?
Well, it's a random number and it's extreme, if not.
That is coincidental. 598 from Monroe, Washington says, this donation tips me over the edge for my knighthood accounting blow, as well as some extra pennies for the jar. Yes, I'll drop them in right now. Please knight me Sir Hopscotch of the Digital Horde, so that I may look down upon the slaves at the Duval meetup. Please hit me with some R2D2 karma. We're all going to die. 2 to the head. Oh, my goodness. 2 to the head, and look at that juice. Yeah, I think I have that for you. Hold on. Where's the juice? Do we have... and what else? Let me see. It's too much for me to do. We're all going to die to the head. That's what.
We're all going to die.
Oh my gosh. Can you see that juice?
And the R2D2 karma.
You've got karma.
Zachary Freitas in Pacific Grove, California. 336.66. And he says, Roganite, de-douche me, please.
You've been de-douched.
Y'all saved me from menticide on my way back home from a failed tour to SXSW, South by Southwest, in 2020. Met my smote girlfriend, Sarah, last year, and now she's a douchebag.
Does she need to be called out because he didn't ask for a call? I
think so. He's got it in all caps. All caps douchebag, the special kind. Add her to the birthday list. I think she's on there, October 14th. John, can you say, happy birthday, little pill?
I think it's Lil Pill.
Okay, I'll try it again. A couple takes. Happy birthday, Lil Pill.
Yeah, I think you wavered. Try it again. It's not quite perfect.
Happy birthday, Lil Pill.
Yeah, nailed it. That's a wrap. All right, everybody. It's a 5. And we continue with Mathieu Peters, or Peters. Oh, it would be Mathieu Peters from Tilburg in the Netherlands, 333.33. I didn't get a note. Did you see anything from...
I got nothing.
Mathieu? You'll send it to us, Mathieu, if you find out there was something else you wanted to say. However, if you forgot to send it, don't make it a really long make good, because, man, when people mess up the notes and then it's really long make goods, it makes it tough. Tough on the programming schedule. Owen Marsh sent us a note, though, from Dunrobin, Ontario, Scandinavia, 333.33. This is my first time donating. I started listening regularly last summer during the height of the corona madness. I got sucked into the fear during January 2020 after seeing the videos coming out of China and stocked up on food, supplies, and N95s. We're not alone. When it finally arrived in North America, nothing really happened. I breathed a sigh of relief and assumed that the worst was over. Yet everyone else picked that point to lose their minds, and I've been teetering on the verge of angry insanity ever since. Your show has definitely helped me understand what's going on. Yeah, you can relevate it. Yeah, thanks. The winter of 2020-2021 Ontario lockdown, which really didn't begin to end until July, was horrible and not something anyone should have to live through. I'm currently traveling the free states of southern USA where I can live like a normal human being again. It's been such a help for my sanity. I'll be attending the Orlando meetup this Sunday and look forward to meeting everybody. I need a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And I would love to hear Biden get vaccinated and the no. And please pick a karma for me. Is there a good one for vagabonds? What's good for vagabonds? Asian dog karma?
R2-D2 for sure. No, R2-D2 was a little robot who's a vagabond.
Was he a vagabond, R2-D2?
Yeah, I think so. He was all over the place.
No. You've got karma.
Beth Visser in Leduc. I think it's Leduc, Alberta, Canada. 333.33. Happy 42nd birthday, October 13th. My smoking hot DILF Patrick from your wife, your brothers and parents. So I'm not sure they'll agree with my terms of endearment. Ha! Calling him a DILF.
A dude I love.
He's been a listener since 2008 and has yet to miss an episode. He successfully hit me and his brothers in the mouth, though we're contributed, and though we've contributed to his eventual knighthood, the rest of us are douche bags.
Douche Dutch bags.
Oh, douche Dutch bags. Oh, yes. Douche Dutch bags. We hear in the morning and sucking in soot all day long as they are his phone notification sounds.
Yeah.
I like the idea of sucking in soot, which is a constant reminder to stay awake. We're staying firmly away from the clot shot. Ooh. Considering we had COVID run through our home, no one isolated in their rooms, and only 2 out of 5 were positive cases. I've slept next to him the whole time, and he never got the virus. I guess she did. Sure, the most deadly and transmissible virus out there.
Without a doubt.
Nice try, government. Well, on the topic, we should like to add Trudeau to Adam's list of the head shaved, marching them naked down Main Street.
He will look pretty interesting.
Well, he'd be proud. Patrick's brothers, all good Dutch boys, have requested Adam to read the following phrase. If he would be so inclined, he may.
I will do it. Ieder voor zich en God voor ons allen.
Please de-douche us.
Oh, sure.
You've been de-douched.
If you think contributing his birthday gift counts, of course it does. But if not, the wife and brothers remain douche Dutch bags. Karma to all the awake listeners, a sucking in soot and jingle of your choice, perhaps an old classic that hasn't been used in a while, to round it out. We appreciate all you both do to keep us sane in an insane world. Thanks again.
Okay, I can do that for you, I think. Oh, it's so old. When I clicked on it, I got an error. Okay, well, we'll have to look for something else.
You might die sucking in soot. You might die sucking in soot.
What will we do with the drunken?
It was a random pick. I'm sorry.
What will we do with the drunken?
Random pick.
You've got karma.
It was an old one. And we got Tiana Hewitt. Thank you. 333. John Adam, thanks for the best podcast in the universe. This donation is dedicated to my husband, Chris, in honor of our anniversary, which is today, as well as his birthday, which is on Saturday. Thanks for being the best husband, dad, and friend. We don't know how many years you've been together without a fight. This is an incorrect message.
Yeah, I agree.
He donated for my birthday back in August, somehow managed to screw up the note. Could not be found by John. I think he got the subject line wrong. If it doesn't have donate or donation. So hopefully this one lands. It did. Our Thursdays and Sundays are forever changed. Thanks to y'all. Please add Chris to the birthday list for 10/16. I'd like to request a de-douching for him. Sure.
You've been de-douched.
As well as, let's see, some sleep karma. Sleep karma, okay. And our favorite, heavenly farts. Thanks again, Tiana. Well, of course we can do that for you.
Before we begin, let's pray. Let's pray. Heavenly farts, Heavenly Father, our hearts.
You've got karma.
Never gets old.
Okay, this one's for you because they're requesting one of your voices.
Let's see, Douglas Longenecker, okay. 333, instructions for Adam to read in combo stoner and Dutch voice. What am I, a monkey?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this.
I don't know that have you ever done a stoner?
Hey man, hey oude Dvorak, je oude klootzak, houd je bek even. Je maakt me helemaal gek. That's show. Does that sound good?
I guess, yeah. It's pretty good.
Thanks, gents. It's English now, too. I can't do it. I'll do it Dutch only. Thanks, gents. This puts me well over half of a night. I'm looking forward to the meetup in Bastrop, Texas this week. Or as my douchebag, jealous fatter brother, listener who turned me on to the show says, Ballstrap, Texas, douchebag. Consider this money. Ballstrap, Texas. That's pretty good. I like that. Hey, it's funny. He made it funny. Consider this money dating karma, as I'm still single and hoping to hold down the kissing booth at the meetup, as Adam seems to have bailed out, Sean. I'll be over in the corner with a bag of mushrooms and rancid adrenochrome for any spooks who want to kiss. But I'm not easy because of JC these days. Love and lit from Doug. Pretty good, huh?
I love that voice. Clayton Moses is next on the list. 333 from Anchorage, Alaska. Please give a house selling and traveling karma to my friends Van, Kristen, and family. Love the show. Jingle request China's asshole and Fauci Weeze. This is a great note.
It's exactly the right length. I completely agree.
China is asshole.
You've got
that's true.
Karma.
Sorry, that's true. It didn't come out.
I didn't hear the request for that's true.
It says it.
Rob
Rob
McCauley's next. 333. I consider this an even better note. ITM, thanks for your courage. Love is lit. Jingles. Don't enslave me, Kamala. Shut up, slave, and get vaccinated. No.
Yeah, what I have to do is I have to put the get vaccinated and the no. I need to put that together.
Because people are asking for it a lot, twice already.
I know. Every single time I do it, it's two separate clips. Well, it always takes me a second to get it set up. And also a karma? No karma? No karma.
Don't enslave me, Kamala. Shut up, slave.
Get vaccinated.
No.
Perfect. Sir Largeman, Baron of Bali. 23456 from London, United Kingdoms. In the morning, gents. It's Sir Largeman, Baron of Bali, writing to you from London, where I currently reside. I can't tell whether John's bewilderment over why the U.S. didn't recognize the Republic of China back in 1945 was a genuine and innocent question, or just his way of goading me into donating some money so I can set the record straight as a citizen of Taiwan. As a citizen of Taiwan. Why don't we just read it?
I was goading him specifically, knowing he's in Taiwan.
That's good.
And this is a very good piece of information people should pay careful attention to.
Well, I'll bite, he says. The fact of the matter is, when Chiang Kai-shek lost the civil war to Mao's Communist Party and fled to Taiwan to set up shop there, the ROC government in Taiwan continued to be recognized as legitimate China by the U.S. and other world powers. This is good. ROC China was part of the UN and held its seat on the UN Security Council all the way until 1971, when a resolution was passed that recognized the PRC as the only legitimate representative of China instead. And then in 1979, Jimmy Carter got chummy with the PRC and finally severed diplomatic ties with Taiwan. I didn't know that's how it went down. Other countries followed suit, and Taiwan became completely isolated on the world stage. Then it fought its way back to asserting itself as an important player in the global tech supply chain, among other industry sectors. Today, the importance of companies like TSMC and Foxconn to the global economy is one of the reasons why the U.S. cannot afford to let PRC destabilize Taiwan. No jingles, no karma. Love is lit. Love you mean it. Sincerely, Sir Largeman. And this to me, in contrast to your thinking, this is a perfect donation note. This is what I want from producers.
Well, we're getting deep information.
Yeah.
Now, couple of things about this. Both parties are at fault here because it was Nixon in 1971 who decided. Of course, Nixon was also responsible for opening up China. It was part of the quid pro quo deal when he sent Kissinger over there. So there was some hanky-panky going on between Nixon and the PRC. And then Carter comes along like a bonehead and cuts off all ties to Taiwan, which is ludicrous because we sell them tons of armament, so we're not really cut off from Taiwan, but we have to kind of be. This is like
also the Green Army men.
Sick.
The Green Army men, they were selling us stuff. We had all kinds of stuff from Taiwan in the 70s.
Yes, the Green Army men.
Yeah, and my tennis racket.
We still do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate that. That's a really good note. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something that we need to know that. So we do now. Sorry, I had it wrong. I didn't really have it wrong. I was just complaining.
I don't think any of us really know. I mean, I've never paid attention to that.
Like
China in general, it's like
what I like about the note is he boils it down. Because I'm sure if
you
started trying to research this yourself, you'd get it'd be a mess.
I agree.
Camaro Esperanza, $210.14 is next. And he writes, I hope this secures an AP ship for my sister, Liz Jackson of Lilburn, Georgia, on her birthday, 10/14. I don't think she's on the list because it's not in yellow.
Oh, hold on a second.
This is my first donation. But all of the dedouching belongs to her, so she needs a dedouching.
You've been dedouched.
The karma goes to her and her husband John and their menagerie. And this is from Camaro Esperanza.
So that's Liz Jackson, and she's celebrating today.
Yes.
And from who? I'm sorry, could you just give me that info?
From Camaro Esperanza.
Okay. Yeah, that one got missed. So it's on. Excellent. And a karma? Sure thing.
You've got karma.
Let's see. Taylor Counter, 233. I have no note from Taylor.
I will look one up while you play the next.
I'll move to Tim Hurd from Austin, Texas. It's just a tad bit down the road these days. I've been listening for a while. Thought I should donate before meeting y'all at the Texas meetup. Please, de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
No other jingles required. And I would like to remind everybody, I have an announcement. You can no longer sign up for the Ballstrap, Texas meetup. It is full. They cannot have any more people on the homestead. So if you have not RSVP'd, stay away. We'll be shooting at you. It's too many people. We want to keep all the goods, all the candy for ourselves on the 16th. And Tina and I are very excited about this. This is going to be a good one. Anything from Taylor?
I heard they canceled the kissing booth.
Yeah, they canceled a lot. Once the kissing booth stuff started, and then they cut out all kinds of stuff. The bouncy castle is still up in the air. I don't know. Anything from Taylor?
Nope, not a thing.
Then we've got Brian McRoberts from Chesapeake, Virginia, also $200, associate executive producer. Anything from Brian?
No, I didn't look for him.
Okay, why don't you look, because we have one last donation from
Trish. One more, and it's got a big note. And you can
I got it from Trish and Rick.
See if I can find anything from Brian.
Trish and Rick from Brighton. Is this them? Yes. Hello, John and Adam. Here's another donation for the show. At the time of our first donation, we were relatively new listeners and not quite sure about the format, the jargon, etc. now that we've been tuning in for a while. I love that phrase. I love that people still tune in. We've gotten the hang of the show and realize you are helping us to keep our sanity. So let's keep this damn thing going, they say. Feel free to cash this check as long as you continue using terms like bullcrap, gadzooks. No, I've never. Have you ever said gadzooks?
Yes, I have.
Spook, yeah, douche, holy crap, jamoke, irks, and jabroni. And so forth, so forth. Try as I might, I have not been able to gain access to the troll room. Written instructions on that topic, perhaps via email or posted to the No Agenda website, would be greatly appreciated. Apologies if I've overlooked them. Okay. Well, send me an email, and I'll see if I can help you out. Call out Stephen in Ferndale, Michigan, who has been an avid listener for several years, but to the best of my knowledge has never donated to the show. What a douche. Douchebag. Hang in there. Kind regards, Trish and Rick. And we thank them both very much for their support.
I thought it was a good idea. One of these days, I'm not even going to bring it up. The idea of doing a complete FAQ.
Oh, you mean the one where we have our mission statement?
No, the mission statement's separate. That's done.
Yeah, where is it?
It's in my inbox.
Okay, well, send it to me. Maybe we can put it somewhere that people can read it.
I'm going to send it. Now, we have a... Brian, there's no Brian now. I got a bunch of stuff from Mike.
Yeah, I don't have a Brian McRoberts either. It's okay. They can.
Okay.
But maybe we should, you want to do some of these make good since we're here anyway?
Yeah, why don't you read a few?
Okay. Well, we have quite a few. So I'm not sure what happened with...
Well, read about 2 or 3. Well, that's when I went to take the dog out, and I guess the whole thing went off the rails.
Yeah, I don't think so. Banshee Beck said, "Dear, this was something went wrong with this. Adam and John, when my husband asked me what I wanted for my birthday this year, I told him I wanted to donate to No Agenda and stop my douchebaggery. Please throw $1 at my smoking hot husband and de-douche the both of us."
You've been de-douched.
And then she has a boots on the ground report from someone working for a major airline. We're working together and standing up against the mandate. All of the transportation industry is. I don't have concrete evidence of what exactly happened over the weekend with Southwest, but we have a huge group called Southwest Freedom Flyers. Yes, we've seen it. Southweststands.com. And we don't condone walkouts. We're working together in touch with legal teams, speaking with other airline employees, sharing information, and supporting each other. United Airlines has a hearing in Texas on Wednesday that could help us learn how to navigate the exemption process. And I think United announced they were not putting a mandate in place yet, so that may have been part of the outcome. The questions they are asking us during the exemption process are wild and personally invasive. I hope we can turn this mandate on its head. Yeah, I actually have a copy of that I put in the show notes. It's very rude, particularly the religious. The religious questions, like, it's pretty much the idea is, we don't believe you, so prove it. How many times do you pray? That kind of stuff. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's very rude, and it's especially to anybody. It's none of their business to begin with.
Thank you.
As somebody pointed out, I think the guy who sent that in mentions it's an illegal question.
Illegal question.
Like, there is HR issues looming for these companies who think they're going to get away with this.
Well, they put it in writing, these idiots. They put it literally
exactly.
in writing, asking. That's so. It is completely protected, your religion. You don't have to classify. You don't have to validate that you believe.
There was a law professor on a local radio station I listened to. I was in my car, so I didn't get to record it. But she was and I figured she's going to go all in with the government. But no, she's from Hastings, Cal. And she says, this is very sketchy. They can't do what they're doing. They can't tell people, if you have a religious reason for not taking it, you don't have to say anything. That's all. That in itself is all you have to say. I don't believe I should take this vaccine because of my religion. You don't have to explain why. You don't have to explain what religion you're part of. You don't have to do anything.
You will probably be out of a job, but at least you'll be able to have some recourse because there's no way they can ask that.
You may get some money on the back end.
Might. I'm just looking. I'm looking to see where was that? I know I put it in there under mandates, maybe. Well, it's in the show notes. Definitely take a look at it because here it is. Crazy religious exemptions. I got it here. And this was actually from the USDA. This is the USDA.
You think they know better?
Yeah. Let's see. Please describe the nature of your objection to the COVID-19 vaccination requirement. Question 2. Would complying with the COVID-19 vaccination requirement substantially burden your religious exercise? If so, please explain how. I don't think you have to explain that.
No, you say yes.
3. How long have you held the religious belief underlying your objection?
None of your business.
Please describe whether, as an adult, you have received vaccines against any other disease, such as flu vaccine or tetanus vaccine, and if so, what vaccine you most recently received and when, to the best of your recollection.
None of your business, and illegal.
If you do not have a religious objection to the use of all vaccines, please explain why your objection is limited to particular vaccines.
None of your business.
If there are any other medicines or products that you do not use because of the religious belief underlying your objection, please identify them.
None of your business.
Please provide any additional information that you think may be helpful in reviewing your request. Yeah.
I don't want to
kiss my ass. How about that? Is this helpful? Is this helpful? And then you have to, I declare to the best of my knowledge and ability the foregoing is true and correct. And then you have a privacy statement. We are authorized to collect the information requested on this form pursuant to Executive Order 13991, protecting the federal workforce and requiring mask wearing, January 20, 2021. Executive Order 12196, Occupational Safety and Health Program for Federal Employees, February 26, 1980. U.S. chapters, Code 5, U.S. Code, chapters 11 and 79. That's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
They think they're authorized, huh? Doesn't the Constitution supersede federal law? Isn't that kind of how it's supposed to work?
Well, that makes the federal law unconstitutional.
Right.
Somebody has to sue to make that stick.
Then we have Brian.
This is going to be a lawyer's. I mean, the lawyers have had a lot to do recently. This will give them something to do.
And Banshee Beck requested Rev Al and Jobs Karma.
RESPICT.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Brian Ducasse says, in the morning, my name is Brian Ducasse. I'm requesting a correction regarding Sunday show 1389. My brother, Seth Ducasse, attempted to help my wife, Whitney, make a donation on my behalf of this birthday present. Apparently, he did not make this clear in his note, resulting in Adam referring to me as Seth's smoking hot husband. Hey, honestly, I saw it and I thought, okay, we have lots of gay couples that send donations and are smoking hot husband. I didn't think anything of it. I remember that specifically, though. It's like, there you go. Anyway, followed by suggestive jingles about getting cornholed and giving the whole load. Hey, that was not on me. That was the request. Seth was named executive producer and is now concerned that people will be misinformed that he is an incestuous gay marriage with me. May the record reflect Seth is straight and single, or as we call, cis-het. I'm editorializing. That is the correct term, cis-het. Brian is executive producer for show 1389. Sorry for his mistake, and thank you for your courage. Okay, so I will change that posthumously for you in those show notes. We have Sir Ken of Pennsylvania. On 1398, I mistakenly awarded an executive producer credit for donating over $300. I believe you said it was from North Carolina. I actually donated $20.30 and live in Pennsylvania. I am sure the back office will be able to resolve this mix-up and credit the appropriate donor. Respectfully, Ken Gross. Sir Ken of Pennsylvania, Baron of South Felton. This is a mystery, Sir Ken. We don't know what happened. Yeah. So if
I saw that too.
If anyone needs to claim that, let us know. And then Brandon from 1389. Quick note for my 333 donation from last week. If this makes it to the show, please don't include my last name. I didn't see a method to submit a note when I sent in the donation, so I emailed the question, but I didn't get a response. Sometimes they don't arrive. Notes at NoAgendaNation or NoAgendaShow.com or .net or both always works, we hope. Hence, I figured I would just send it here this week and hope for the best. My apologies for the confusion. No problem. I was hit in the mouth about 4 years ago by my business partner and have thus far yet to donate. Quick side note, neither has he, so please give him, Matt G, a DB call-out. Douchebag. I've hit my wife in the mouth as well as she routinely reminds me that I'm a douchebag. Today, that changes. After the number 333 randomly came up 4 different times in an 8-hour period, I decided I would be tempting fate if I didn't donate immediately. No jingles, just a de-douching and a quick karma as I'm ready for my first solo in pursuit of my rotorcraft license.
You've been
Let's go, Brandon.
Hey, that's an exciting one. As much as I enjoy flying, I wasn't prepared for the focus being equally as much on crashing as flying. I'm sure you're familiar. We practice multiple auto-rotations and failures each flight. Quite a rush. Love the show, and I spread the cure to anyone that isn't hypnotized beyond. Thank you for all you do, and the No Agenda Nation will be the ones that save the world. Let's go, Brandon! Yeah. Well, I will just say, your first solo should not be you worrying about dying. Your first solo, and I'll tell you how it usually works for anyone who's taking flying lessons, fixed wing or rotary. If you have a good instructor, they will at a certain point when you're, maybe 15, well, it depends how many hours you're into it, but eventually they're going to get ready for you, and you'll be ready for your solo, and you'll be doing some touch and goes, and then all of a sudden the instructor will say, hold short here, and he'll step out. And everyone will know it because, they know that you're going to do your first solo. Without you knowing it, they've cleared the airspace. Maybe 1 or 2 that'll be incoming. And you just fly your circuit, man, the way you did it, the past 10 times before the instructor got out. And then you got to do it for real for the test. That's minor. And that's it. Our executive producers and associate executive producers and the make goods that that didn't make it into last show. Thank you all so much for producing episode 1390 of the best podcast in the universe. Without you, we can't do it. It is value for value, whatever value you get, and you can hear that people are definitely find value and sending it back, not just in terms of time and talent, but also treasure. And if you want to join in the fun and be an executive producer, you should be one at least once in your life. Go to this website.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And again, thanks for all the great production work as producers for 1390.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, Slade.
Shut up, Slade.
I would like to talk a little bit about supply chains, since now M5M has caught up to what we've been talking about for a couple months. We've had lots of producers write in, tell us exactly what the problems are at the ports. Now we have a completely, I think, avoidable a spike in gas prices, which, the Green New Deal's coming, everybody. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be fab. But let's get a little trip around the world of what's happening with these supply shortages as people go nuts trying to order stuff and we can't get stuff shipped. And it's really, there's a lot broken. But here's where we really have to be worried. And ABC knows exactly what we care about.
And finally, pumpkin prices going through the roof.
Experts say bad weather and shipping delays are to blame.
But farmers say don't go out of your gourd. You may just have to settle for a less perfect pumpkin.
Hey, can you stop it? Stop the clip.
That was the clip.
Oh, did the woman at the beginning say pumpkin?
Ooh. Let me listen.
And finally, pumpkin prices going through the...
Hard to tell.
I think it was pumpkin. She didn't say pumpkin.
And finally, pumpkin prices going through...
Yeah, pumpkin. She might have said pumpkin. You're right.
She said pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Normally this would be an end of show mix, but Tom Starkweather put together what turns out to be a dynamite supercut of the M5M this past week, talking about the supply chains, and I think it 100% qualifies as a supercut. Enjoy.
Supply chain disruptions.
The shortage of products here in the U.S. has extended to, well, just about everything.
This morning, a crisis brewing in the American supply chain.
Not only the rising prices at the pump, but also at the grocery store and at your favorite restaurant.
Lots of issues mounting up.
Huge bottlenecks in supply chains.
75% of eateries have had to change menu items due to supply chain issues.
The diaper shortage is getting to be a big deal.
It doesn't solve the problem by telling people buy early for Christmas.
It is certainly exacerbating all the troubles.
If you're thinking about holiday shopping,
Do it now.
These supply shortages are sort of like a game of whack-a-mole. Every time one gets resolved, 4 other ones seem to pop up.
By getting these things open 24/7, that is only going to push these prices even higher. Inflation goes up.
Because nothing says return to normal like a shortage of toilet paper, which is what we're about to see.
There's a shortage of truck drivers to help deliver the goods.
Probably going to see higher prices persist right through the beginning of next year.
These challenges are definitely going to continue in the months and the years ahead.
I believe it's transitory, but I don't mean to suggest that these pressures will disappear.
The president has taken a hit recently in his polls when it comes to his handling of the economy.
So in the past, companies have passed on these costs to consumers. I'm not sure if that's the argument being made in this report. We feel that that's unfair and absurd, and the American people would not stand for that.
Retailers are charging more for just about everything.
There may be isolated shortages of goods and services in the coming months.
Good luck with your shopping list this weekend.
That last bit is cynically what they're talking about. And I'm surprised there was nothing about it on the 3x3. What I've seen continuously, you start your shopping now. Do your shopping now, Christmas shopping now. Little Tommy's not going to have any presents unless you get it now. It's not going to get delivered. How? I mean, please tell me I'm not the only one seeing that they're just pushing shopping. This has nothing to do with supply. In fact, it'll probably only make it worse.
Pushing shopping on network TV.
I mean, that's what we do. We push shopping. And I think I have, in the back of my mind, I'm sorry.
As I said, there's a couple of factoids I want to throw in so people kind of understand a few things. The trucking problem is really bad, and we bad in England. We know that for the gasoline problems, but here it's the same thing. Because they had interviewed on one of these morning shows a bunch of trucking company executives, and they only have half the trucks they normally have. And it has something to do with it.
Well, it has to do with drivers. It has to do...
Drivers.
Yeah.
It also has to do with what you point out, which is the new regulations about the trucks.
That's why most drivers don't want to do it. You also have to be 21 for a commercial driver's license for that size, I believe. Maybe not in all states. But how about this? We've all seen The Wire. We all know how the docks work. There's a million TV shows and movies about dock workers. You're telling me that these guys can't be controlled with big payoffs and that they're not they've got unions. There's always shady shit going on with docks. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, this is why, unbeknownst to most people, there's another two factoids. One, Oakland had a backup that ended in July.
Yeah, they got rid of it.
Because the two unions decided to make a deal, and next thing you know, they're working 24/7 or whatever, and they got it's clear. And that's why around here, and Mimi's always saying, how come you always we don't have any shortages of anything in the San Francisco Bay Area that I can see.
Right.
And Oakland's been clear. Long Beach and Los Angeles, the two big boys down south, which I did not know, account for 40% of all overseas shipping from China in the entire country.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is like, what? That seems like a lot.
It is a lot. And now they're up to 100 ships, I think, that are offshore.
They're all backed up, and they're going to go to 24/7. But what they're going to do is unload all the ships. Yeah, but they still can't get it out of the port. There's just the cargo containers are stacked up.
Got a note from one of our producers. No, wait, what's this from? Well, here's the story. Freight management. Oh no, this was a article. Freight management companies say the backlogs are so severe that warehouses are storing rows and rows of containers, of course, in parking lots. It can take up to 10 days to retrieve a shipment. So delivery trucks, this is what you've seen on television, often sit in line for hours waiting for a load, and some local carriers are refusing to get freight at certain times. So it's now so bad that some companies will take their own truck from their own facility with a forklift in the back, 6 or 7 guys. They'll bribe their way into the freight. They'll, just paying off the guy, whoever is in charge, and they'll break open their own containers and use forklifts to load out the trailers or to get out whatever is in there so that we can at least have something moving. That's from Freight Waves. So that would be a true story. I think Freight Waves is a good publication. So if the slowdowns or not help or not being able to do it isn't also caused by political situations or dock workers or money or whatever, it certainly can be manipulated in your favor. So it's just as corrupt as always, and it's not moving. And how about this? What if the bankers, just like 2019, without a doubt, it was handy to have everyone locked down and shut all the money. What if they really need money to flow? It has to flow away from banks. It has to flow somewhere else. They're sending it overnight. They're sending trillions back to the Federal Reserve. Maybe there's also like too much money in the system and they want to push everyone to spend real quick. Is that possible?
Ooh, that's the second good conspiracy idea you have.
Well, here's,
I never thought of that, but here's one thing that they were talking about, the prices and all the rest of it going up. I think the stock market reflects this too. They injected so much money into the economy, free money, that people were spending it like crazy, and it created this huge demand. There's a demand problem right now. So it may be, well, if you're going to, that's an old economics theory, demand and supply. If you get the demands that high, the prices have to go up.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's just temporary. Here is straight from the horse's mouth, Janet Yellen on CBS talking about it.
Are higher prices here to stay?
I believe it's transitory, but I don't mean to suggest that these pressures will disappear in the next month or two. This is an unprecedented shock to the global economy. It's led to a huge shift in demand away from services and toward goods. And it's created huge bottlenecks in supply chains. We have close to 100 ships that are docked outside the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach waiting to unload goods, and supply chains are very stressed. We get the pandemic under control, the global economy comes back, these pressures will mitigate, and I believe we'll go back to normal levels.
How long is that going to take? Did you hear what she said? Well, we got to do this, and the global economy has to come back.
It's not going to change at all until, according to many, mid-2022.
Right. Well, that's your theory, without a doubt. Just overlaying it on the 1918 pandemic, which I like. Which is, I'm sure a lot of the stuff we're seeing. Well, we know mandatory vaccinations, masks, all of these were a problem 100 years ago. We already did this. Janet Yellen, by the way, went to school with the former New York banker. I think she was in the same class.
I think this may have been mentioned before.
Yeah. But she looks a lot older, to be honest about it. Here's the second part with her message to consumers.
Looks a lot older than he does, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, he's just, I guess $100 million in the bank can make you look young.
Adrenochrome.
that and crispy adrenochrome, right on.
We're being advised now to shop now for the holidays because of these supply chain issues. What's your message to consumers?
Well, look, we have an economy that's recovering, so there may be isolated shortages of goods and services in the coming months, but there is an ample supply of goods, and I think there's no reason for consumers to panic about the absence of goods that they're going to want to acquire at Christmas.
So how can she say that? She says there'll be no absence of goods?
But then
really?
Yes, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard her say.
After she just went through
shortage, but there's no shortage.
Yeah, you don't have to be smart, by the way, to be Fed chairperson. Here's something I learned about China.
Well, she's Treasury now. She's not. She's out of the Fed.
I'm sorry. Well, she was Fed. Now she's Treasury. Well, you don't have to be smart for either of those jobs. You just have to know how to trade along with the Fed, so you become a billionaire. That's all you need to do. So part of the supply chain problems are also manufacturing in China because they're out of coal. This used to be a joke back when I grew up. We talk about Belgium. Belgium, of course, we make jokes about Belgians all the time. And the joke went like this. Do you know why the Belgian Air Force didn't fly during World War II when the Nazis attacked?
Yeah, because they ran out of coal.
Exactly. Exactly. And now it's like, you know why China sucks? They're running out of coal. We know that they cut off the Australian supply and reinstated it. But here's something I didn't know about how important the Australian coal is.
Several Chinese financial analytics have also acknowledged that Australian coal is the preferred choice of China's power plants. There was a significant gap between Indonesian coal and Russian coal and high-quality Australian coal, and many Chinese coastal power plants had converted their generating units to be suitable for the use with Australian coal. When the import of Australian coal is interrupted, such equipment being unable to process domestic coal has resulted in a reduction in power generation.
I didn't know that Australia's coal was some super coal that needs special
anthracite, high quality anthracite. If you look at the coal supplies around it, we have a lot of it in this country. The difference in quality is extreme from the cheapest, crappy, oily.
Well, talk about that because no one really knows that there's differences in coal. They have no idea. And I guess if Australian coal is that much better, quote quote, does that mean you can use less of it?
Yeah, it probably has higher BTU content, less sulfur, needs less scrubbing. And it probably burns cleaner in every way, and it probably leaves less ash. It's probably I'm just guessing that would be the extreme example of fantastic coal. So yeah, if the Chinese are all geared up for that, and they cut them off for some stupid political reason, because the Australians did a bad piece on 60 Minutes down there in
yeah. What a bunch of idiots!
Stupid! It's unbelievable. Whoever did that should be shot in China. They would shoot the guy.
Now let's just discuss these. I don't know if you talked about on DH Unplugged, but the gas prices. I mean, I think this was completely avoidable. It wasn't very obvious what we're doing if you shut down. All of Europe is shutting down natural gas. And they didn't have enough. They didn't store enough during the last season or whatever. The Germans have turning off everything. The last nuclear plant is about to close. France is now considering closing another 35% of their nuclear plants.
Why would France do that? France is all nukes, and they run beautifully.
Well, because it's not green. It's not part of the Green New Deal. Here, France is debating.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Is it not green because it contributes no carbon dioxide whatsoever to the atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me the obvious question, which is, you cannot have nuclear because it kills people. That's not green, okay? I mean, I'll just answer it for you. We're not going to have nuclear because it's dangerous and scary. So, therefore, not green. That's red.
It's scary. That's what it is.
In 2011, the Merkel government took an energy model developed by Martin Faustich and the State Advisory Council and claimed that Germany could attain 100% renewable electricity by 2050. They argued that using nuclear would no longer be necessary, nor the construction of coal-fired plants with carbon capture and storage. With that, the Energiewende, which we've talked about for years, was born. And the study that they based this on argued that it would work because Germany could contract to buy surplus carbon dioxide-free hydroelectric power from Norway and Sweden. But, hot summer, the hydropower reserves of Sweden and Norway are now dangerously low, just like our that you reported on Lake Powell. So that's coming into winter. They only have 52% of capacity. So that means that Germany, Denmark, and the UK are now in trouble because they can't buy all the excess from the hydropower from Scandinavia. To make it worse, Sweden, they're still considering shutting down their own nuclear plants, which is 40% of their electricity. And France, as I said, is debating is cutting as much as 1/3. And why? Because you make more money if you throw up some solar panels and it's subsidized and you're in on every solar panel array, every windmill is its own legal entity. It's an LLC or sometimes a BV, which would be Dutch, which also can, is great for taxes. And you'll see the owners of that are politicians, people who are just putting it in, making the money. The scam has not changed. And now everyone has to rely on Russia for the gas. I mean, how ironic.
And the Russians have got to be cracking up.
In the U.S., we're not going to start any fracking. We're not going to do anything. It's like we're afraid. From what I understand, starting up fracking each time is very costly.
Yeah, so you have to do it continually.
Yeah, so if you start up and shut down, it's bad.
Yeah, well, And we're not doing we haven't done a new nuke plant for, 50 years plus. So we're not doing that. I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, all I know is I go to the gas station. In California, gasoline's $5 a gallon. And we produce oil in California.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that is taxes, I'm just presuming.
Most of it's taxes.
So, another reason.
And of course, it doesn't do anything. I know where the tax money goes. It's supposed to be for the roads. There's potholes everywhere.
I think another reason.
I almost lost an axle the other day.
Another reason all of this is happening is these environmental social governance regulations, which make, fracking companies, oil-specific companies uninvestable for pension funds. And the U.S. Labor Department proposed a rule Wednesday, check this out, that would allow workplace retirement investments to focus on environmentally friendly funds and cashing on the companies combating climate change. This, in fact, reverses former President Donald Trump's regulations on the use of environmental, social, and corporate governance factors in retirement portfolios and fiduciaries. Trump's rules limited investments related to decisions to pecuniary factors, sowing doubt among industry practitioners about whether climate change and environmental factors would qualify. So now they've just made it, I guess, if this rule passes and it becomes the rule, that all the retirement accounts can also adhere to full-on ESG, and just for anyone isn't participating in that, just won't count. And that's really pushing the climate stuff, because that's where all the money's going, into stupid-ass companies that do solar and wind.
Well, hopefully the whole thing will blow over.
Yes, it's the thing. Wars on the veil. The e-cigarette.
Well, it only took about 24 months, but here we are. As predicted, the big tobacco companies in the United States pushed out all the vapes, all vaping, all liquids. It's all illegal. Get rid of it. No flavored, no good. You're all going to die. It's still nicotine. What's wrong with you children? And then all of a sudden...
This is a first. The FDA has authorized e-cigarettes in the United States. It's a move that caught a lot of people by surprise. The FDA saying they believe certain R.J. Reynolds vaping products may help adult smokers who want to quit. But today's action is raising a lot of questions and concerns. Our Circle of Health reporter, Denise Tador, has more on the impact of this decision.
In a first-of-its-kind authorization, the FDA greenlights the marketing of certain e-cigarettes because the agency says it may help some Americans quit smoking. It's a move that's puzzled some lung experts.
Don't forget, nicotine is just as harmful to the heart, whether it's by vaping or by smoking.
Pulmonologist Dr. Eli Handel with Dignity Health Glendale Memorial says replacing one form of inhaling nicotine with another doesn't make sense.
You're vaping nicotine. So the same pleasure you will get from smoking cigarettes, you'll get from vaping.
But the Food and Drug Administration said data submitted by R.J. Reynolds showed its Views e-cigarettes help smokers either quit or significantly reduce their use of cigarettes. In a statement, an FDA spokesman said, today's authorizations are an important step toward ensuring all new tobacco products undergo the FDA's robust scientific pre-market evaluation.
To be clear, the FDA is permitting the sales of specific tobacco-flavored e-cigarettes for adults only, not the flavored products that have been criticized for being targeted to children.
Experts point out smoking cigarettes is a leading preventable cause of death. Today's authorization allows these vaping products to be legally sold in the U.S.
All right, so this is almost exactly as we thought it would go. This is the big tobacco companies, RJR. Philip Morris, of course, has the IQOS, which has not yet been approved. In fact, it got denied pre-marketing pre-marketing approval from the FDA, which is kind of a similar process to vaccines, funny enough. And I think that this is Views, VUZE. It's just like a Juul or any other of these things that got killed off. I think what happened here was, which I didn't even expect. I thought that the reason why IQOS was going to be the vape that they brought in to take over everything was because it was non-combustible tobacco. It was still a tobacco product. And because it's still a tobacco product, the master states agreement, all the money that flows to all the states from the tobacco companies, that would still stay in place. In fact, it may even grow. What I heard in this report and what I'm seeing now as I research this is that big changes, they're now calling nicotine a tobacco product. And
so you think it might keep the master agreement in play?
Of course. Yeah, it's coming from the same people. They don't have to change anything.
So I wonder if they would include the lozenges or the patch.
They may be able to. If they're going to have, then I have to see. Again, I have no paperwork on this. But the nicotine vape juice is by my, you can call that a tobacco product, but it's significantly different from, inhaling burnt, tobacco and carbon and formaldehyde and paper and all that stuff. So I think that's what they did. And if this was a fight between a couple of companies, wow, RJR did a great job. And what's coming next, guaranteed, menthol. Because that's the big killer. Getting menthol, because that's what brings in the hip hop audience. They love menthol. So there you go. Killed the whole industry, which was great. People had a lot of fun. It was the same mission. Vaping helps you quit smoking or smoke less burning tobacco in your face. And now they're turning around and saying, oh my God, look what they did. So amazing. RJR did it.
Interesting fight. That'd be a good story to figure out the background on.
Yeah. Well, again, FDA has to tell us why.
You still vape?
Oh, yeah.
But what do you use for a device? Are you going to be gone? You're going to have to go buy one of these because you can't get your product? Or
had to go underground, baby. Got to go underground. Yeah. You got to get it from sketchy drugstores and head shops.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, really. Yes. Yes.
But people who manufacture this stuff, I think, don't you?
Well, you can make it yourself. You can order the materials. This is what Dexter was doing. Dexter made bought himself a house based on his crazy vape juices.
Yeah, no, he was a smart kid.
Yeah. So I still have vapes. You can still order an actual vape, although that's getting more difficult because of the lithium-ion batteries, etc. But the juice, yeah. So we'll see. And I can't wait to try out their product, see if it's any good. Maybe it's a great product. Who knows? I certainly believe it helped me not catch COVID.
Well, that's the other thing, that when you started this report, is it possible that the crackdown has to do with keeping people away from tobacco because tobacco prevents COVID in some, as studies show?
Yes.
Or is one of these limiting factors.
Mm-hmm.
And to knock that back, because we still have to kill more people.
Oh, well, that's totally on deck. Yeah. And I believe that to be true. Dave, my buddy Dave, he has this small office, I think 50 people maybe. And there's one guy who's just a horrible chain smoker. And everyone has gotten COVID. Everyone's dropped around this guy. And he's just sitting there all nice and smelly. And he's overweight, eats junk food. So it's like, what is he doing that we're not? And, the office gossip is it's the smoking. And wasn't there some report early on we were looking at that? The AC2 receptors from the Asian men who were smoking?
Right. You actually picked one up very early because you were looking for it. And that was early in the game, like a year ago. And then it's become more, it keeps cropping up in the news. And we've played all these clips that the tobacco is a preventative, much like aspirin and everything else they're going after.
Don't talk about it. Yeah.
So, okay, well, now I can go to some Trump stuff, or we can do those C-SPAN call-ins.
Well, I'd actually like to do just a quick submarine update, because there's been too much submarine stuff in the news for me to be comfortable anymore. We had...
you mean especially when the one banged into some mysterious object?
I have information on that, too. First,
information has come to light?
Yeah, well, when I play the jingle, I'm going to tell you what's going on. First, let's go to ABC.
This morning, a nuclear engineer for the Navy faces espionage-related charges, accused of trying to sell secrets about America's most sophisticated submarines.
These fast attack submarines, which incorporate a lot of stealth technology, these submarines cost about $3 billion each.
According to the FBI, Jonathan Tebbe, who had top security clearance, sent a package of documents to an undisclosed foreign government in April 2020, including a sample of restricted data and instructions on establishing a covert relationship.
When the Russians or the Chinese or the Iranians or whoever was receiving this gets the information, they can look at this and say, how do we design our submarines and save potentially years of design work?
The court documents do not explain how the FBI received the package, but undercover agents posing as spies from a foreign nation allegedly made a deal with Tebbe to share the secret information in exchange for $100,000. Investigators say when Tebbe dropped off a data card, it was placed inside a peanut butter sandwich.
All right, so this whole story reeks of bullcrap to me. FBI, 6-week cycle, data card in a peanut butter sandwich. Yeah, a lot of coercion, a lot of talking. Oh, we can't really tell you where we got the information from. Here's the timeline. We had France getting really, really angry at Australia and the U.S. because of the change of the submarine deal. So we're going to have these subs now in Australia, which, of course, is a danger to China, they might think. Then we get this, we hit something, we don't know what. And now I believe, once again, let's not, because when a sub hits something, I mean, we've had a lot of subs. Subs are good stories. The news likes to have a good underwater crash story, but then right away we get this, this is the story. This is what's important. So there's 3 submarine stories in a month's time. I haven't had 3 submarine stories in 3 years. And from our submariners, I will read one of the responses verbatim. We don't need active sonar. We have passive sonar. They hit a Chinese sub. It's just hush-hush like when we blew up the Russian sub, the Kursk. And I believe both of those stories to be true. So we hit a China sub.
Wonder what happened to the China sub.
I don't have that yet, but I'm waiting for it. I don't think it may not have been. Well, he says just like we blew up the Russian sub, the Kursk never surfaced. So if we hit a China sub and they're at the bottom, But maybe it was, we shouldn't have been there. We were snooping around and we bumped into them. There was something else I got, which was kind of funny. Boots on the ground from the South China Sea. This is from Andy. In 2019, I delivered a boat from the Philippines to Ishigaki, Japan, passing through the South China Sea. Upon arriving into Ishigaki, I noticed all 6 of the Japanese Coast Guard cutters had large nets strapped to the bow and hanging over the rails, each filled with what looked like foam bed mattresses about 3 beds thick. After clearing into the country, I had a chance to talk with my interpreter. He says the mattresses are to redirect Chinese vessels entering Japanese waters and push them back out into international waters by physical contact, but that the traditional shot across the bow warning is only considered an act of war if you're really shooting or if you're striking someone, but nudging another vessel with mattresses is apparently okay. And this happens every single day. I didn't know this. So
nobody knows.
They've got like bumper cars going on in the South China Sea with ships.
Yeah, well, you'd think somebody be covering this.
It doesn't behoove them. I think. Doesn't behoove them. All right.
They do cover this story, though. This is the Norway story.
Oh my. Yeah, this was crazy. Do you have a clip?
I only have a short clip from NPR, but it kind of covers it. Norway bow and arrow.
Police in Norway say a man armed with a bow and arrow killed 5 people and wounded others in a town about 50 miles west of Oslo. Authorities say the suspect has been arrested and is believed to have acted alone. Officials say they haven't ruled out the possibility of a terror attack.
Yeah, so...
They tell us nothing. We don't know anything except some guy went nuts with a bow and arrow.
I have a little more on that. I think I got that he was... They think he was a radical Muslim. That's what I hear it is. Where is it? I thought I had that. Yes. Here we go. Danish convert to Islam who was suspected of having been radicalized. He was charged with killing 5 people, injuring 2 others. 37-year-old. The bow and arrow, Kongsberg near the capital. The suspect who lived in Kongsberg and has a criminal record, including death threats, burglary, and drug possession, was reported to police for possible radicalization last year. Hello. There you go. Their cops are as good as ours.
Yeah. So what's the point of returning people in if this is the result you get?
Their intel doesn't work. Does not work. All right.
No, I have some interesting... Well, I still have the C-SPAN call-ins.
Well, then let me just end up this block for me with a bit of the purge, since we still have people locked up. There's a lot of saber rattling about January 6th. In fact, Margaret Brennan had Fiona Hill on about this. This was pretty disgusting.
You know, in the book Peril, Robert Costa and Bob Woodward wrote, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, at the end of it, is quoted as comparing the January 6th siege of the Capitol to the Great Dress Rehearsal. You're a Russia analyst. You know immediately what that phrase is, which is what Lenin called an uprising that preceded the revolution. I read that and I said, dear God.
Yeah. Dear God.
I mean, the general is saying that this is a precursor potentially to further violence. Is this overstating things in a historical sense?
He's not overstating it at all because, I mean, we all saw in real time what happened on January 6th at the Capitol building. And General Milley was absolutely right. Any student of history, but any observer of even American politics over the last decade. I mean, when have we seen something like this before? We haven't.
Yeah, this woman is some British-American foreign affairs specialist who works at Brookings Institution. These people... Ugh.
Okay, but now that you brought that up, I have to play these Meet the Press clips.
Okay.
Along the same lines, and it's all pounding this home. They had Fiona Hill on. They had...
Why is she on? Why is she? What is her big deal? She works for a think tank.
Trump, and she worked with the administration for 10 minutes. But let's listen to the premise or what we're going to be hearing here with these clips. And they're just random clips from this last show on last Sunday. This is MTP intro. This is the intro side of it. 1.
Good Sunday morning from our NBC News Bureau in Los Angeles. Every day, it seems, we're learning how fragile our democracy is. Just this past week, the Senate Judiciary Committee released a report about just how close we came to losing that democracy in the weeks after the election. The report provides new details on a January 3rd White House meeting where top Justice Department officials had to threaten to resign en masse to stop President Trump from taking further steps to overturn the election. We also learned that last week, Mr. Trump told his former aides to not comply with subpoenas from Congress regarding the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And a Facebook whistleblower told Congress this week how the company returned to relax security measures right after the election, but before January 6th, even as Mr. Trump was lying about vote fraud. All because they wanted to keep up engagement and profits.
And it keeps my theory in play, doesn't it?
A little bit. Yep. Now, we'll say this, that what he just said there about Facebook, on that same show, I didn't have a clip because it was a little too long to clip, but Nick Clegg, if you remember that name.
He's the spokeshole for FaceBag. He's former UK member of parliament.
Yeah. He came on and said, this is bull crap, and he called Chuck there a liar.
Oh, and you didn't clip it?
No, it was long. It wasn't. It was a typical British way of. It's so understated. It took forever.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't clip it. I'm just telling you in a nutshell. So we go from there, so this is the whole half-hour show, and it was according to Chuck. This was put together by Chuck because it was so important because we almost lost our democracy. Oh. By these unarmed people roaming around and staying within the lines as they walk through. So let's go to MTP MTP Intro 2.
So ask yourself this. Is it alarmist to suggest that our democracy is at risk? Or are we really staring at the abyss? Whatever side of the political divide you're on that issue, getting to the bottom of Mr. Trump's actions on and around January 6th will give us all more clarity on how close we actually came to the shredding of our Constitution and how close we could come again.
All right, now, because there are two clips now where they're talking about our democracy, I have to interject this clip from the same network, MSNBC, with our favorite buddy, who's back again, former CIA Director John Brennan.
And well, they know that the demographic and political trends are against them. And so they continue to try to exploit the fears of a lot of individuals in this country by overstating the concerns that a lot of people have about what's happening in this country in terms of migration, other types of economic issues, and other things. But I must say that we're no longer the world's role model for democracy, I think. Given the authoritarian tendencies of the Republican Party, it is quite clear that the Republicans, I think, are trying to resort to any tactic possible. And I am concerned that what we saw on January 6th, could that be replicated in the future? Are there individuals who are going to try to stoke those fears to such an extent that some people are going to try to take action into their own hands? In interviews over the weekend, I heard individuals say that they see a civil war coming because of this palpable fear that they have that they're going to again resort to any tactic whatsoever in order to hold on to what I think is their failing ability to hold on to power.
So the word is out. That's the message. And they're closing in. They're really trying to make it happen here, trying to make it all stick.
They have more than one person come on. Oh, there's going to be a civil war. There's going to be a civil war. This is all favorite. It's part of the scheme. Mm-hmm. So let's go to this clip. Now, later in the show, we get to this. This is MTP0 clip. This is the first of the series of short clips.
Now, a parade of former Trump officials are recounting Trump's obsession with overturning the election in an attempted coup.
He was heightened, and he was so, about this was stolen from us, this was stolen from us.
We all watched it happening. And because it, didn't seem to be behind the scenes, clandestine in any way, it became normalized.
But many Republicans are still defending him.
The president did the right thing. If he had made another decision, you would have had a problem.
And around the country, Trump allies are pushing laws that would allow Republican legislatures to more easily overturn the vote if it does not go their way.
I'm alarmed. I think most people are alarmed that we're still talking and still facing these issues of election disinformation.
This is about going after the integrity of not only the election system in Idaho, but people going after the integrity of the election system as a whole.
This is without a doubt the biggest threat to our democracy in my lifetime.
And joining me now is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He is a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which wrote this report on former President Trump's efforts to overturn the election using the Justice Department as cover to do it. Senator Whitehouse, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks. Good to be on with you.
They are so afraid of what's happening. They are taking this to extremes. We're writing books, giving them to guys. Here's your book. Where everything, oh my God, they're so worried about this. They're beside themselves, and they're making up this horrible story.
I know. You kind of stepped on the...
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The reason I kept Sheldon Whitehouse in there is because of his stupid comment at the very beginning. If you just run
at the beginning or the end?
At the very end of the whole thing, they just introduced him, and then he says, well, I'm glad to be your hero.
Oh,
something.
Sorry.
He says something really dumb.
Listen again.
Of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which wrote this report on former President Trump's efforts to overturn the election using the Justice Department as cover to do it. Senator Whitehouse, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks. Good to be on with you.
Good to have you.
Yeah, well, this happens a lot.
Yeah, it was a minor flub. Okay, so he has him on, and he just does his normal griping about Trump. Then they bring a panel on, and they got Yamiche.
Woohoo!
Yamiche and a couple of other Democrats. They never have a Republican that could actually explain things.
Why ruin the party? Why ruin the fun?
Yeah, heaven forbid. So let's hear, and there's just two random clips from this little group of people bitching.
Is because there is no more.
Sorry.
I'd say, here we go.
Is because there is no moral center and no moral clarity from senators like Chuck Grassley.
Well, Yamiche, the other thing is there seems to be no power in numbers. Everybody's afraid of, if they all join hands, they could rid the party of Trump. But they're not doing it.
They're not. And really at the heart of this is fear. And at the heart of this is the idea that the threat continues. Watching the Trump rally yesterday, and I would only do it because I was coming on Meet the Press with you, Chuck.
I just want to say, please, everyone, also try to listen to this as complete projection that she's talking about herself.
They're not. And really at the heart of this is fear. And at the heart of this is the idea that the threat continues. Watching the Trump rally yesterday, and I would only do it because I was coming on Meet the Press with you, Chuck. I watched it from beginning to end. And what I saw yesterday was a president who is continuing to not only lie, but also up the ante. He was telling people last night, we're not going to have a country in 3 years. We need to take this country back. And what you see is a Republican Party that simply cannot divorce themselves from the alternate reality that the former president is living in. And you see people riled up, excited about that. And in talking to Democrats, they're just so worried that the energy is on the GOP side.
So here's a professional reporter who both works for NPR, PBS, CBS, MSNBC. God knows she's everywhere. She's celebrated. And she says, I wouldn't have watched it, but I knew I was coming out and talking to you, Chuck. That's how journalists cover presidential stuff now, is I don't want to watch it, but just because I was coming on with you?
Yeah.
Lame.
It's pathetic. There's nothing more pathetic than that comment that she made.
Yep.
There's this lack of objectivity is out of control.
Well, there's also no one watching, so it doesn't hurt that much.
Well, that's true, but we're watching.
Well, I know. We're actually making it worse by playing these clips.
Exactly. And so here we go with this.
No wonder they let us go. Hey, we're having a hard time getting the message out to the kids, but these guys, they play all our stuff. This is great.
David French, Stephanie Grisham, is she Jose Canseco? Meaning you may not believe her on a lot of stuff, but you believe her on this?
I mean, if you're writing a book saying that Trump is unstable and lies a lot, that is not exactly news. I mean, this was something that was seen all over the United States of America for year after year after year. The problem is that his loyal fans always turn on his appointees. Trump, who was supposed to hire the best people, is always being betrayed. He still never has made a mistake. And so what we're dealing with here is it's not news. It is not news. At this point, if you don't know that already, where have you been?
That's a fair point. That's all we have for today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, panel, for being with us. We'll be back next week in Washington, because if it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Did I miss that Jose Canseco became an insult? Was that a thing now?
I didn't. I never knew that it was an insult, but I'm not sure. I don't even know what they're referring to. Are they referring to his book that's 30 years old? They're talking about steroids?
I don't know. Yeah, like I lied. Lying, basically.
Well, they're condemning the woman that came on the show, this Grisham woman. She came up with another Trump book. And she was like a chief of staff or something with Melania, and who hates her now.
Oh, yeah.
And she came out with the same, Trump lied. Trump, and he's unstable. I mean, it was just a Trump checklist. She was just, they're just bringing, why? This guy has not been president for almost a year.
What was our domain name again? Didn't we have a whole, gosh, I can't even remember what that was.
I think it's TrumpRotation.com.
Oh, TrumpRotation.com. Yes, that's it. Trump.
And it's the same list that they're just there. I don't know why they're so. I don't think Trump's going to run in 2024. He's going to be too old. I think it's going to be DeSantis, and so they're not, of course, they're not taking any chances. They're going after DeSantis as hard as they can. Abbott is the other.
You mean DeSantis, not DeSantos? DeSantis.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying that. Oh, I had a hairdresser named DeSantos.
Here it is, TrumpRotation.com. Yep, I'm still there. Yeah. Number one, illegitimate president. Let's do the top 10. Number 1, illegitimate president. 2, lost the popular vote. 3, incompetent. 4, White House chaos. 5, unhinged, updated to unglued. 6, liar. 7, Hitler. 8, demands loyalty. 9, cheeseburgers is all he eats. 10, sex offender. And 11, Russian agent.
Keep reading.
Never says anything bad about Putin. White supremacist, pro-Nazi, narcissist, mentally unfit, insane, dementia, unstable, clown, or bozo. Foreign leaders hate him, hates women, misogynist, hate Muslims, Islamophobic, hates gays, homophobic, anti-Semite, admitted molester and or rapist. 25th Amendment should be instituted, should be impeached, hates immigrants, hates Mexicans in particular, says all Mexicans are rapists, is racist, small hand, small penis, big red button. Should not have nuclear codes, immature, childlike, you need an adult in the room, tweets too much, thin-skinned, bully, holds grudges forever, mean, bankrupt, does not have any money, long ties, fatter than 239 pounds, plays golf too much after criticizing Obama, hypocrite by action, seldom called one, incestuous, would date daughter, divorcee, golden showers, pervert, tax cheat, won't release taxes, impetuous, Nixonian, divisive, corrupt, violates the emolument clause, said Nazis are fine people in Charlottesville, wants to separate families, puts children in cages, and is a conspiracy theorist, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and 59, Trump runs the mob. That's it.
Well, there was one of them. There's only one in that entire list that I believe to be true.
The cheeseburgers.
Okay, that's two.
What's the other one?
Won't release taxes.
Oh, yeah. Well, why should you? And just on that tip, and then we got to take our break. Maricopa County officials admitted to deleting election data after receiving a subpoena from the Arizona Senate. This was it's not clippable, it's boring, but it was fun to see them have to admit that they actually deleted it, and they said, well, we couldn't give that data to people because it wasn't on the machine. Yeah, but you deleted it and you say you archived it. Yeah, but it wasn't on the machine. So they're playing footsies there. And in Michigan has charged 3 women with 2020 election fraud. So there is some stuff to be looked at.
There's a lot of fraud that took place.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's common in a lot of states. I think California is rife with it.
Oh, yeah.
And all these would, as you heard the Chuck Todd thing going on about the Idaho, they're going to change it. They're going to make it tough for people to vote. This all is about voter ID. It's really what all this changes
It is. Because we have to let all those Haitians vote. Exactly. And the final one, I've seen this in the reports. I found it interesting that it got reported on ABC.
Jeffrey Clark, the man Trump wanted as Attorney General, believed that wireless thermostats made in China were used to manipulate voting machines in Georgia, and Trump asked a top intelligence official to look into it.
And there's ample evidence that something went on with that as an access point. It was an attack vector. They came in through the nest.
Could be.
And then you're on the network.
Things are possible.
Once you're on the network, you're on the network, and then you can do a lot of fun stuff. But we will never know because they also deleted the log files. Very annoying.
Yeah, no, we'll never know. But, this has been good. Trump is just the promo. I mean, this has probably happened to other people, and they just go, the Diebold machines when Bush won against Kerry or whoever. Was it possible that he was
do you remember when that thing flipped like crazy?
Yeah.
It's the flipping that takes place. That's what's nuts.
One side gets an advantage. They rig the election for their guy, and then the other side takes an advantage.
It was Kerry Obama, wasn't it?
No, it was Kerry Bush. That was Bush's second term. He ran against Kerry.
But who didn't Kerry run against? Who ran against Obama second term?
That was Clinton. Who ran against Obama? No, nobody really.
No, okay, all right.
No, it was a shoo-in. They had the rig.
But that wasn't Kerry. That was Gore that you're talking about, isn't it?
No, Bush ran against Kerry in his second after he got elected against Gore. The Gore thing, I think Bush won that, and now they're still in denial about Florida, and they make a big fuss. All the Democrats, Florida was rigged, the hanging Chad, la la la, and so now they made a big fuss, and to this day, in fact, Al Gore used to introduce himself as the would-be president. That's fine, but if Trump does it, oh my God, is it trying to make a coup?
not start a coup, he's gonna make a coup.
Gonna make a coup.
Well, the establishment, the M5M, they're doing the bidding, so there's worry about Trump. And considering the mass hypnosis everyone's kept him, they should be. They should be.
Yes, and they are. And it's obvious when you watch these shows, they're cringeworthy.
That
Meet the Press episode was cringeworthy.
We appreciate you sharing it with the group. That's why people show up. That's why they're here to keep their amygdalas in check.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
The show's too long. But we do have a few people to thank. Duke of Luna is right at the top of the list. Is Grace Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Lover of America, and Boobs. This is our Boobs guy. Comes in with $140. Cameron White, 117.05. This is a note. You probably have to read it because he's a knight. It's going to be.
Okay. He says, Cameron of White from San Diego recently fled from Nazi SF. Okay. Topping off my knighthood with this donation. Little girl, yay. The San Diego Boots on the Ground meetup was this last weekend. Special thanks to Dennis O'Connor, the San Diego taxman, for his non-woke bar, Home and Away. To Monica Perez from the Propaganda Report for plugging the meetup on her show. Oh, cool. To Sir Montauk for sending the PVC printed heads on sticks, as well as the birthday switcheroo donation. To the Future Dames for the custom name tags and help with the recording, as well as to whomever drove me home because I don't remember. Please add Thorns Relay IPA to the round table and dub me Sir Camelot the Blackened Out Knight.
Blacked out.
He says, blacked, sorry. Sir Camelot the Blacked Out Knight. Stay dangerous. And he says, such karma? Such?
Stay dangerous and such.
Oh, then he needs a comma. Karma, please. There you go.
You've got karma.
Okay, we've got the Thorns Relay IPA good to go for you.
It's really good. Angela Pickering's next on the list with a birthday from Sour Lake, Texas. I wonder if that lake is sour. $110.14. Allison Pardon in Pensacola, Florida, 101.80. Greg Hartlob in Cincinnati, Ohio, $101. Brian Taylor, 6913. Sir Wags, Knight of the Martin State Class Delta Airspace in Havre de Grace, Maryland, 6789. Sir Bebop, Knight of the Frozen Tundras, 5678. Christopher Dechter, 5678. Anonymous, 5555. Ted Alliance.
Was there some reason for the 5678? That's kind of cool.
It's one of my favorite donations, and they just show up.
It's cool.
Ted Alliance, 5510, and he's in Florida. Nicole Gilbert in Brooklyn, New York, 5050. Justin Price in Blacksburg, Virginia, 5033. And now we go to the $50 donors, name and location. We have a few. Brandon Rogers in Aurora, Colorado. Jonathan Ferris in Liberal, Kansas. Philip Kim in San Francisco, California. Kimberly Redmond in Toronto, Ontario. She's a dame. Tony Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. Sir Kevin Dills in Huntersville, North Carolina. Sir George Wuchet, parts unknown. Michael Wendell in Matawan, New Jersey. Brian Henderson in Indianapolis, Indiana. William Wild in Baltimore, Maryland. Adam Carter in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sir Brandon Savoy in Port Orchard, Washington. Dame Patricia Worthington in Miami, Florida. Scott Wardell in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Fabio Alves in Monk's Corner, South Carolina. And Dame Knight in Edmonds, Washington, $50 from Hershey's, coming in a lot. She's going to be a baroness shortly.
Yeah, soon.
I want to thank these folks for being the producers for show 1380 or 1390. 10 shows away from show 1400.
It'll be a big celebration. The 26th is official. The 24th is a show day. And we're already very happy that we've made it this far. We can't believe it ourselves, honestly. Thanks also to the producers who came in under $50, often for reasons of anonymity, or one of our fabulous subscription offers, 1111, 1212s, 33s. Go check it out at
Dvorak.org/N.
And a karma for all producers of the best podcast in the universe.
You've got karma.
got Camaro Esperanza saying happy birthday to Liz Jackson. It's her birthday today. Zachary Freitas celebrates. Beth Fisser says happy birthday to her smoking hot Dilf Patrick. He celebrated on the 13th. Angela Pickering, her husband Chris Bro, 47 today. Tiana Hewitt, her husband Chris, will be celebrating on the 16th, as will Tyler Richardson. And Brandon Rogers says hi to you. That's his mom. Allison Pardon, happy birthday to husband David Pardon, turning 59. And Nicole Gilbert, happy birthday to her smoking hot fiancé, Chakra Daddy. And we say happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. At the best podcast. I said podcast, but I meant podcast. One dame, 3 nights. Yay. Let's get them up on the podium. We got some fun. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I took out 2 blades. I'll put this one back. Now, where's yours?
Yeah, here's mine.
Okay, good. Inga Carlson, Alexander Harrington, Matthew Heflin, and Cameron White. All of you up on the podium as you are now becoming official Knights and Dame of the No Agenda Roundtable, and I am very proud to pronounce the KD as Dame Lady Get Over It, Sir Hopscotch of the Digital Horde, Sir Beasley of Iowa City, and Sir Camelot, the Blacked Out Knight. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Kombucha and Kale, Lefsa and Raspberry Jam, and Thorns Relay IPAs. If that doesn't suit you, we got Rubenesque, Reuben and Rosé, we got Vodka Vanilla, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Breast Milk and Pablum, Beer and Blunts, Redheads and Ryes, Harlots and Haldol, and Mutton and Mead. Everybody loves it. Mutton and Mead. Enjoy that. All your other accoutrements that are here. And after you've finished your feast, go to noagendanation.com/rings. Select all sizes, everything appropriate. Send it off to Eric, the shill. It goes with one click. And we'll make sure you get your beautiful knight or dame ring. It's a signet ring, so you get the wax to seal your envelopes and important correspondence and an official certificate of authenticity. And we thank you once again for supporting and producing the No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe. Oh, no, sounded similar. Yo, like a party, which means we got to listen to how some of these parties went. The San Diego Boots on the Ground meetup. Here's a report.
Here at the San Diego Boots on the Ground meetup, this is future Sir Cameron reporting in.
73, Sir Craig Porter, the Ronin, N7FSN.
Dame Mon, ITM. Thanks for all you do.
Hey, it's Sir Mike. Love you guys. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
ITM, this is Kara Sippin, John's Dream Hunter.
This is WA3WOO, fuck Joe Biden.
This is Rob from Santee. The snozberries taste like snozberries.
This is Lily Pads from Santee. Save the Tatas.
This is Bartman from San Diego, and fuck Joe Biden.
This is Mike from Santee, and I have something witty to say.
This is Kelly, Dame of the Crushed Grapes. John, I love your voice.
This is Brenda from San Diego. I heard about you from WATP. Woo woo.
Ready?
I love you, John and Anna. Morning.
Stay dangerous.
And such.
And next time, it's Let's Go Brandon, and I won't accept Joe Biden. It's just lame.
Mr. 737 here at the No Agenda 3 Mile Island meetup. John, we just had some mutton and mead. It's an outstanding product.
This is Mrs. Sir 737. Adam, turn your speakers down.
This is Chris. No Agenda irradiates me with the truth.
ITM from TMI, where we will lead the nation in voter fraud.
Hi, this is Melissa.
This is Tankinator. In the morning.
In the morning, it's Maxwell Reeves, and I'm the spook.
In the morning, it's Jason with thegreatretease.com. I'm here with my smoking hot fiance, Natasha. Thank you for your courage, gentlemen.
I can't wait to find out how many spooks are going to be in Ballstrap. It's going to be fantastic.
You have at least 5, I'm guessing.
Well, here's what's coming up for the week, or the next few days, actually. So the Friday, we have, that's the 15th, North Carolina State Fair. Meet at the waterfall, hang out at the fair, at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. That'll be at 4 o'clock. Then, on Saturday, the 16th, it says it quite clearly, sorry, full, the party at the Homestead, 5 o'clock in Bastrop. Too many people RSVP'd. We can't take on any more. Sorry, all. But it's going to be a great time. We're very excited to go. Oh, also, you know who's coming? Austin City Councilwoman Mackenzie Kelly.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Who gave me the challenge coin. She said, I've got to go it's a Friday morning or Sunday morning or something. She has to get up real early. She has to go somewhere to like Arizona with some delegation. She said, but I really want to meet the people. And he said, I really want to meet the people, especially the ones around Austin. So I think that's, No,
this is what she should do.
That's what she should
what a good councilwoman would do.
Exactly. She's the only good one as far as I'm concerned.
Probably.
Even though she was in our district, I supported her as much as I could. Then also on Saturday, Eastern Tennessee at noon Eastern time, the Smoky Mountain Brewery, and that's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Also on Saturday, the Shrunken Amygdala Support Group, 2 o'clock at Taft's Breporium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Sir Colin, the Friendly Fat Man, is your host. The Boogie Down at the Lavender Lounge, 2 o'clock, Lavender Lounge in Denver. And contact Colin for information on that. And the Flight of the No Agenda meetup, number 21 already at 3:33 p.m. Steelcraft, the city of Long Beach. Leo Bravo has been organizing that for a long time. Snoqualmie Valley meetup at 4 o'clock, also Saturday, Duval Tavern in Duval, Washington. And on Vancouver Island, the Bonfire for the Banished will kick off at 5 o'clock at BA's Place, Sook, BC. And the monthly Migdala meetup, 4 o'clock, number 4, the 4th in the series, at 5 o'clock at Downtown Gators, that's in Punta Gorda. And the No Agenda Private Invasion, Nassau, Bahamas. Oh, my God, I wish we could go to all of these. That's at 8 a.m., Captain Avery's Pirate Republic Brewing. Seems early to be drinking, but okay, let us know. Then show day, Sunday the 17th in North Idaho Sanity Brigade, 2 o'clock at Trails End Brewery and Brick Oven Pizza. The Greenwood, Indiana ITM Tribal Meeting, 3:30 at Tried and True Ale House in Greenwood, Indiana. Happy NFNG Day, North Florida No Agenda, 4 o'clock meetup, Safe Harbor Seafood in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't fly there. You'll never get up. And the Outreach at Orlando will take place on Sunday at 6 o'clock at Hourglass Brewing. Andrew Jones is your organizer for that. These are the No Agenda meetups. If you've never been to one, you never know who you might bump into. Could be a councilwoman, could be a spook, could be anybody, could be someone who shoes horses. You'd be amazed at the skills the producers of the No Agenda Nation has. And very much encourage you to go to noagendameetups.com. Find one near you. If you can't, start one. It's easy. And they're always just like a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
All right. You probably have better ISOs than I do, but I...
Not necessarily. I have 6 ISOs.
Holy crap.
They're all short. They're all the Shatner clips.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
The ones that came in last.
Yes. Okay. So I just pull these up one by one.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness me.
He's a little muffled.
Oh, my God.
He was ecstatic.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Is that them all, or is there more?
This should be 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here it is.
I can't believe this.
All right, here's what I have.
Double douche.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't really come out.
But what was it?
Double douche doesn't really work.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I think this one is worth it.
Do you want to be a free man or do you want to be a slave?
I kind of like that.
Well, the Shatner stuff is muffled. You could jack it up.
Yeah. But it's not punchy. It's not punchy.
No, it's not punchy. I like the slave one so far. You have anything else?
No. Wait, did I have one more? It's been hard getting him. No, I just have another. This is probably just as bad as the first one.
You douche.
No. Too soft. We'll do free man or slave.
Okay, I only have one clip left.
Okay.
Show's running overtime.
Yes, this will be the one that people will remember. They'll come back after this.
And we don't listen to the C-SPAN clips once again. But
they're evergreens. They're always good.
They are evergreens, in fact. So this is an important clip we should know about, and this is it's a clip. It's a good 52-second clip from NPR and I've taken it from 2 different versions of the story. This is the IATSE strike.
Oh, yes, the Hollywood camera
Hollywood's going to be out of business.
Woohoo!
Film and television crews say they will go on strike on Monday if their union doesn't reach a deal with studios and producers before then. NPR's Mandalit Del Barco reports Hollywood and some production hubs around the country would effectively be shut down if the strike goes through.
The union represents cinematographers, editors, makeup artists, visual effects crews, even people who feed the cast and crews, as many as 60,000 workers in all. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, or IATSE, has been trying to hammer out a deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. At issue are living wages, meal breaks, weekend rest periods, and more compensation for working on productions that are streamed online. IATSE President Matt Loeb set the strike for a minute past midnight Monday if a deal isn't reached.
Monday, this coming Monday?
Yep.
Super. Oh my goodness. So not only are they promoting all the streaming stuff, now no one will be able to produce it all. This is great.
It is. It's fantastic.
And James Bond, did you see James Bond? It's horrible opening. No, $56 million. No, it's a dud.
Did you see the movie?
No, I can't see it yet. But
we got some reviews. Comic Strip Blogger came in with a review.
Oh?
Worst movie ever.
That's not Comic Strip Blogger.
Well, no, that's the.
You ready?
The other.
Worst movie ever.
That's Comic Strip Blogger. Yes.
I'll take his word for it. Also, they didn't get a hit with Billie Eilish. That's very rare that the theme song from Bond doesn't get plugged hard enough for it to be at least in the top 10. She didn't get a revival of it at all. Complete dud. Yeah.
Well, it's doing good business.
No, I thought it's not doing good business.
I understand it's doing boffo.
I heard it was extremely disappointing.
I heard it was just setting the world on fire.
I heard it's just a piece of crap.
Well, I heard that too.
Okay. Then we agree on something. We've got, by request, we've got Congressional Dish, episode 240 coming up next. Jen Briney rips apart the infrastructure bill. Love her for that. We're going to keep it brief for the end of show mixes since we're running over time. We do have 2 dynamite mixes. One of them will be from Neil Jones, clip custodian himself. And then we have, I can't remember who made this one. Somehow, people, when you send me end of show clips, put your name on it so that I can easily find that. But it'll be obvious how fun the actual end of show mix is. And coming to you from the heart of Central Texas Hill Country, FEMA Region number 6 in the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we have trucks galore going up and down the road. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday, and I'll have a complete review of the Ballstrap, Texas meetup. It should be a hoot. We'll see you there. Until then, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA, and adios, mofos, and such.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight.
This is William Shatner, and I would like to invite you to take a journey with me.
0 hour, 9 a.m.
William Shatner, the oldest person to have ever flown to space.
And I'm going to be high.
Hey, right now, Loblaws is having a huge frozen food sale.
Retro, go. Vital, go. Guidance, go. Patrol, go. Telcom, go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Star Trek changed everything.
To boldly go where no
90-year-old
has gone before.
I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no. No. I'm a rocket man. Rocket man. Burning out his fuse out here. Hello.
Star Wars? You can call me Mr. Shatner. Priceline, the best choice in travel.
I'll watch a Star Trek now and wonder how it's going to come out.
Just hope he has the right stuff.
Scotty, beam me up. Call on the hurt line.
And promise tastes like butter. Promise.
And I think it's going to be a long, long time.
breaking news in the COVID pandemic. The CDC has changed its guidance.
Not exactly, says the CDC. Today, releasing revised guidance.
The CDC also debating its guidance.
Their job is to look at evolving information, evolving data, an evolving historic pandemic, and provide guidance.
The CDC director says her agency is looking into changing its guidance.
The page has since been removed entirely while the agency prepares new guidance.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Do you want to be a free man or do you want to be a slave?